first of all, I'd say thank you for all coming. It's always a huge honour for me to be able to teach people, and first and foremost, it's something that has really propelled my career, going to seminars and just learning from other people. So again, thank you. I didn't know you wore glasses.
I do know.
Do you? Sorry, that was really random. I've known him for a long time and I've never seen him wear glasses at all. So yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so it's going to be based on, as on the post, it's going to be based on 5 different kind of sections, but these are going to be quite in depth. So everybody, please, please, please ask questions. If there's something specific, like Lana said, that you want to know that isn't kind of covered in this, then fire away. Another thing is, Aaron, if you want to come through a sec. Aaron is a client who originally asked for a siren, right?
Yeah, so to match a similar thing.
Yeah, and we never really kind of actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had Aaron had an idea, and I went, what about this instead? So that's another thing that I'm going to cover into this. But a lot of the seminar, and obviously Aaron's going to be what I'm working on tomorrow too. So a lot of the seminar is going to be based on how I approached his leg, because it's one of my favourite pieces. So please go up, have a look at it. If there's any questions you have about it or how this is linked to that leg, then again, please ask. But yeah, he's a gem of a client, and he's one of those who has really kind of helped me learn as well, you know, because there was a lot of stuff that we done on your leg that was not a first time of me doing it, but I was kind of almost learning on the job as doing it as well, because there was new things that I approached with this that I want to kind of show how to do a different side of black and grey that isn't your kind of normal approach to black and grey. So first and foremost, let's start with the intro. Do you want a chair?
No.
You sure? Well, you go and chill in the back. Aaron's now going to leave his dramatic. So if you can't see the screen because I'm sitting here, then I'll move over here just slightly. So this is a bit of a random one. So this is actually on my leg. So this was the tattoo that actually got me my job as a tattoo artist. In my apprenticeship, I worked at a studio called Urban Ink in Southend-on-Sea, and the owner, basically, cut a long story short, he didn't believe that I could freehand some script and just do it on the spot. And it was one of these things as to where I said, if I do that right now and tattoo it to a level, will you kind of let me tattoo? Because I was quite far, my apprenticeship was 3 years. I was quite far into it at that point, and I already knew that I could do tattoos to a standard. So yeah, that was something that kind of really, it was a huge moment for me, because it was, I was literally sitting how I am now, but it was on my other leg, and I was like, I just drew it on and did it. And that kind of got me the opportunity to kind of move forward on my apprenticeship and him allow me to start on clients. So I think the reason I wanted to put this in there is there are very pivotal moments I think that a lot of people should remember in their career and along their journey as well, and make sure that they are things that you kind of very much look back on as to how you got from that point to this point and all of the kind of journeys in between. Okay, so before I tattooed, and I still do this now, but I was a graffiti artist. So as you can see there, that is me. With no tattoos and gelled hair. I started graffiti when I was 14, and like I say, it's still a huge passion of mine. And one of the reasons I wanted to put this into the seminar is that without that, composition in tattooing, for me, especially large scale, came from this. So it was very, I hate to use the word easy because it wasn't easy to translate onto skin, but when I was doing pieces that were 40, 50, 60 foot on a wall, to have that perspective of how I kind of got the composition on that wall, it was for me to stand back, right? And for you to see the composition on that wall, I'd have to stand back by pretty much the same distance as to what I was actually doing the piece on the wall. That is a very, very important thing for me when you're doing tattoos, is that it should be legible and readable from the other side of the room. You should be able to see exactly what it is, without having to go up to it and second guess, or if any person you're kind of showing at a convention or any of your colleagues or anything else, they should be able to read that from the other side of the room and be like, fucking hell, that's great, let me have a look at that, and move forward towards it. So it's a huge love of mine. It's something as to where tattooing is so perfection based, that we have to be on the ball every day, that this is so much fun because I can just fill up a water balloon with paint and throw it at the wall and it just splats, and whatever happens, you know. So that's my part of being more loose, should we say, because I am very much, as all the guys, these guys I work with in the shop here, like I'm very much like, it has to be perfect when it comes to a tattoo. So this is where I can just get messy and just have fun with it. Do you know, I noticed this the other day. Aaron, can you see the bit on the left of that, how similar that is to the back of your leg? So that was a drawing that I did, I couldn't even tell you how long ago that was, to be fair. It's at least 13, 14 years old. But the reason I wanted to put this in is that I always used to be, especially in graffiti, I was obsessed with circles. I don't know why. I still don't know why I'm obsessed with them, because they're so hard to tattoo. But I added them into all of my drawings without even knowing, later down the line, before I was even considering being a tattoo artist, because that's a completely different drawing to what this was. It ended up being part of my style, and a style that people recognise my tattoos for. You see it all on Aaron's leg, like the big circles, like the negative spaces, and the kind of the flowy lines coming through, and the kind of direction that I kind of took with that was to make sure that they translated over into my tattoos, but I didn't really know I was doing it. It sounds really weird to say, but it was something that I did for a very long time, and then I started doing it in tattoos, saw my old drawings, and I was like, oh, something clicked there, where I was like, it was something that was in my subconscious without even knowing it. So I think those kind of things that you can notice within your drawings, or things that you repeat in your designs, that's something to really kind of focus on, to create a specific style. And something that just comes to you naturally, rather than having any outside influence, because we all spend our lives on phones now and seeing other tattoos and other tattoo artists' work. And it was something that when I started doing those circles, they weren't really done, like, at all. I used to do a lot of, what would you call them, Luke? Lens flares, or lens? Yeah. Lens flares. So I used to use a lot of those in my tattoos, and again, when I did them, I would look back at my drawings and be like, everything was circle based. Like, I still don't know why I do them, but. Okay, so I wanted to put these in just to show you just how bad I was at tattooing when I first started. Like, I was not good, you know, like, I really wasn't. As you can see, I started with coils. It was very much from that era. I remember getting those Mickey Sharps and being absolutely over the moon with them, but even how I approached these tattoos, especially the one in the middle, is that the way I approach my large-scale tattoos is a huge part of it I call mapping out, right? So it's getting everything onto the skin to make sure you can come back it and not have to put a stencil back on. That tattoo in the middle, the lion, I probably did maybe 6 months out of my apprenticeship. And again, it's one of those things as to where I was doing it, and then later down the line, it became very popular in tattooing, and it is now, especially in black and grey, to use that mapping kind of method to be able to kind of get a large composition on without having to re-stencil. Next one. Again, more circles, more weird little biomechy stuff. That tattoo on the left, you can't really see it because of the lighting in here, but that was the first time I actually applied that kind of style onto someone's skin. And as you can see, it's a very bad tattoo. Like, if someone got that today, they would not be happy with it, like, in the slightest. The one in the center was the first ever woman's face that I tattooed. So that was a really big turning point for me in regards to learning how to actually saturate black and greys to the point that, I mean, now it's a bit dark on the screen, but you can see like how dark the cheek is on there. That's a medium tone, which pretty much looks black, like when you're tattooing it, especially if you're not using like a CPL filter or a proper camera. If you're using an iPhone, it's going to look like very, very dark. So I think it's very important to make sure that when you start doing this process, or what you learn from this seminar, when you start actually applying that to skin, is to not be too frightened if it looks too dark on the day. You know, like the amount of clients I get that want to book in with me and will email and say, I'd prefer it to be lighter. you know, because all of my fresh work is so dark, but it's done for a very specific reason, which obviously we'll go over more in depth. So this was a tattoo. I'm sure you've all heard, especially if you do black and grey, all heard of Yarson tattoo. So this was a tattoo that Yarson had only been tattooing about a year and a half at this point. And I was seeing his work all over Instagram, and I was very impressed. I didn't know him as a friend, he's a good friend now, but I didn't know him personally then. And cut a long story short, I messaged him to say, I want to learn how you do that saturation, because I'd never seen someone who had his kind of level of work that almost looked opaque, even though I knew it was grey wash. So I actually messaged him personally and said I want to come to the studio and learn. He, still to this day, he is the only person who has ever messaged me back and said, why do you want to come to the shop? And sent me like this questionnaire, basically, of being like, what do you want to learn? Why do you want to come? He had very broken English at the time as well, so it was kind of hard to translate over. But when I went to that guest spot, as the boys at the studio and girls will know, that I work very long hours, right? Like I'm there till silly o'clock. And there was one day where me and Yarson was in there. I was doing this tattoo. I actually done that in one day, which now I wouldn't even try. I would never even try to do that in one day now. But we were there till like 3 o'clock in the morning doing this tattoo. And I was very happy. Again, you can go back on my Instagram and see it. It's much lighter than what it actually is there in there. But it was a moment as to where I remember sitting with Yarson and watching him do his tattoo and me doing my tattoo, and there was this like connection between us as to where we were there stupid o'clock, our clients were still happy, there was no kind of, we were so energetic, and it was the first tattoo. This is more poignant nowadays with Instagram, but it was the first tattoo that I ever did that actually got some kind of reaction online. It was the first tattoo that got over 750 likes. Not that that means that you've done a good tattoo or anything else, but for me it was a moment that I saw that other tattoo artists were reacting to the work in a way that made me think something's clicked there in regards to how I approached that tattoo, how I did the design, my needle choices, and not just that, but personally I think for me, it was the surroundings that I was in. So it was being around someone like Yarson, who, when he was tattooing a year and a half, I had been tattooing 7 years. He was tenfold better than me at that point, and was bringing in healed work that he had done in his apprenticeship that took me 10 years to even get to that level. So I think it's recognising, again, those moments as to where certain things click, and you can see in your portfolio of work these tattoos that you know, a client might not know, but you know personally that that one is better than that one. So it's working out what you used in those tattoos, and even now I still do it. If I do a tattoo that I feel has kind of reached a level that I'm very happy with, I write everything down that I did that day. And I'm talking what films I watched, what needles I used, inks, everything, what food, even what food I ordered. These guys will tell you how many Deliveroos I get on a daily basis. It's like whatever makes you happy and comfortable throughout that session, and whatever makes your client comfortable throughout that session, inevitably is going to make that whole session and the end result of that better than what you do if you come in the morning, you haven't quite got the needles that you would normally have in your setup or whatever, and you use something else. I can guarantee you'll see a difference between those two. So this was a big moment for me, huge moment. So it's something that I think is very important for tattoo artists to do, and that is to get tattooed by people that you look up to. Not just to have their work on you, but to also watch them as closely as humanly possible, especially if you've got an area like on a leg. It was hard for me because I got my tattoo by him on the back of my forearm, but I just love this man insatiably. Like he's an absolute god in tattooing. But it was a moment that I still don't actually know the whole story of this, but Lana basically booked me to get tattooed by Philip Liu without me knowing. It was my birthday last year. It was for me, like, Philip Liu is someone, his tattoos, if you've never seen his work,
we've got some books about.
Yeah, you definitely should research that guy. He's not, yes, he does black and grey, but he is a master of every style of tattooing. The reason I love him so much is his outlook on tattooing, The guy's been tattooing 43 years. He matched my level of passion at 17. I've been tattooing 17 years now, right? Like arguably he was probably more passionate than I was, showing me pictures of work that he was doing. He was doing bodysuits in 1990 that were still, and I've seen a lot of his work at conventions. I've got a good friend from Japan who's got a full bodysuit by him that was done over 20 years ago, and it looks just as good as what it was done on day one. You know, like he is someone who has perfected the art of doing a tattoo for longevity rather than doing it for social media or for any kind of good picture or anything. He hasn't
even got Instagram.
No, he doesn't give a flying fuck about what people think about the work, as long as he knows that it's gonna last the test of time. We went so into depth in tattooing, which is why I want to go so in depth with this, like the seminar, that he was telling me that he used to make his own inks. And he's from the era of when they had no gloves, right? Like they didn't even tattoo with gloves. But he used to make his own inks and send them to laboratories to make sure that it had the right amount of microns in the pigment to make sure that it wouldn't drop out of the skin. So he's been tattooing long enough to know that things like yellows and orange aren't going to be there in 30 years. So he made sure he put enough microns in those pigments to make sure that they did. It's that level of kind of like thinking as to where I'm like, you're a fucking genius. Like that's like genius level of tattooing. It's looking at the science behind the skin, behind the inks, everything else. And to me, he just floats in a room, doesn't he? Like the way he conducts himself and the way he'll speak to a person that has any level of tattoo experience is something that I've kind of. He's just happy. He's just chilling. I actually think he's responding to what I'm saying.
Just going,
if I'm honest.
Yeah, I remember
he's
that.
Going,
you told me about that.
I remember you coming back with that tattoo. Yeah.
And I'm not saying like technically it's any of it is like the best thing in the world. Like
no, I will say this. You can see it on the back of my arm there. All right, so it's a Japanese tattoo that was done there. It was free-handed. He still uses acetone to trace over the top of it, then takes that acetone to actually put onto a photocopier and then puts that photocopy into his iPad to actually outline over the top of it. That drawing and that tattoo was done in 1 hour and 20 minutes. The whole thing, like the whole process. So it wasn't, and I remember hearing something a very long time ago that like, and it wasn't cheap either, I will say that. Like it was not cheap for that tattoo at all, but you're not paying for that 1 hour and 20 minutes. You're paying for the 43 years that it took him how to learn to do it in 1 hour and 20 minutes, you know, and the experience and,
because regardless of how long you were actually tattooed for, we were there all day.
Yeah, we were there for like 9-10 hours just talking about tattooing.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you, like there was so many surreal moments for me. And I've had this as well, where people come up to me at conventions and they have these little moments where like, it's so nice to meet you, I've been such a big fan of you for so long. And I understand how he was now on the day as well, because I didn't want to fangirl too much with this kid, but I could have literally cried my eyes out when I walked into that shop. But he outright admitted that he was autistic, like off the bat, straight away. And I was kind of like, nice. Like, so we're one of us. Do you know what I mean? Like one of them kind of thing.
It was almost like testing the water, wasn't he? To be like,
yeah, for sure.
To see like what he could say to us.
Yeah. First of all, without offending us.
Yeah.
Not in a horrible way, but just like he was gauging the room.
Oh, they're like, you know, young and from London. It's like, what can I say to these people?
But like Lana said, by the end of it, after having the tattoo done, he would, and I still agree with Lana with this, but he was just sitting there showing me how to draw skulls, playing his guitar. And if someone would have told me 15 years ago that I would have been sitting in Philip Lou's front room with him playing guitar, drawing skulls, I would have just been like, whatever, mate. Do you know what I mean? But he took the time to do that. So it's, the reason I wanted to put this section into the seminar is that, yes, the tattoo isn't technically great. You know, like there are bits on it that I've seen Japanese artists that are 1,000 times better than him, technical ability-wise. But the level of inspiration that I walked out with from that 10 hours of my life will forever be with me in my career. And it's something that I've always kind of, since doing that tattoo with him, have tried to implement them into my sessions with my clients. Whether it's, especially if you're tattooing another tattoo artist like he was, right? Like and they're coming to you specifically because they love your work or they're a fan. it's not just the tattoo itself, it's how you can send someone away, and I feel the same with seminars as well. It's how you can send people away with this level of inspiration that gives them the confidence to be able to actually apply that into their tattoos and also their experience, you know, like with you as a tattoo artist. I think especially nowadays, experience is just as important as the level of work that you're putting out on someone. I personally would rather get tattooed by my friend because we have a good day and I love that person. It might not be a tattoo that is the best in the world or the best at someone who specialises in that, but I'd rather have that than going to the best tattoo artist in the world but he's a dickhead, you know? Or they just put their headphones on all day and don't talk to you or whatever else. If you've flown halfway around the world, do you know what I mean, to go and get something done by that person, and they don't give you that connection between it, because I haven't been tattooing for the same amount of time as him, but I come from the era of where the connection was very important, you know, between the client. And I feel like I was saying earlier, when you have those clicky moments as to where you do a tattoo that's better than what you've done before, and you notice it's because of the needle, not just the needles, it's the surroundings, it's the same thing, you know, like he's noticed something in me when I came in. We were actually talking about smoking DMT when we first went in there, and the second that I started saying that, he was immediately, he was showing me all these trippy drawings that he had done, and it was at that point that I was like, we just made that connection, you know, in between it, as I knew that I would
start a back piece. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, he did actually offer. This man can do a back piece in 6 hours. Like, and I originally wanted to get a back piece, and he was like, I didn't want to, because I didn't know Lana was doing it. I didn't want to be that guy to rock up and be like, hi, I'm your biggest fan. Can you do a back piece for me today? You know, like.
Because when he walked off to go and like get his iPad, I was like, you better start a fucking back piece. Because you didn't need to do it all, but just to start it.
No,
because then you got your foot in the door. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but for me, it was just as Lana said, it was getting the foot in the door. It was meeting one of my idols. It was.
And you've never said hello to him since.
Nope.
He comes up to me at every convention and he'll like give me a cuddle and whatever. And he's like, oh, there's Tom here. And I'm like, yeah, Tommy's just done that. Never said hello to him, too frightened.
We went to the after party at Gods of Ink. No, it was at Paris, wasn't it, this year?
Paris, yeah.
The friend I was talking about who has the bodysuit by Philip, his name's Derek. Derek Yip. He's a Japanese artist, phenomenal artist. And he's got like a proper full Japanese bodysuit by him. It was the first one I ever saw. And we was hanging out at the after party, and Philip Liu was standing next to Derek, and I had to get Derek to actually get him to come over and say hello, because I just still have that nervousness about it. And it's not because I'm too nervous to actually have a conversation with him, it's just that the circles that guy mixes in and the knowledge that he has, it's, all I want to do is just sit him down, strap him to a chair and be like, give me everything that you've got, you know. So yeah, as I said, that was a very long way of saying go and get tattooed by your favourite artist, but it's something that I think is very, very important for you to be able to learn knowledge at a close. Oh, you're coming to me.
You want him?
Little zigzag in between, but yeah, it's very, very important to do that, to make sure that you can see that at a close proximity, and you get that personal time with that person, you know, in between it, as to where you can look around the studio, see what kind of equipment they're using, or see what inspires them, you know. See, like in Philip's studio, for example, all he had was pictures of pretty much every tattoo convention he'd done. It's like a slanted roof, like above you, to where you're getting tattooed, and all those pictures are on there, you know, and that's clearly what inspires him to look at when he's getting tattooed, when he's tattooing. Sorry. So again, make sure that you have your area, the area where you're tattooing inspires you, and make sure that whatever you take from seminars or whatever you take from getting tattooed by these people, you implement that in, because there's a reason you want to go and get tattooed by that person in the first place, you know. So
the next section, we're kind of getting into like the first point, which is like the preparation, but just kind of leading on to that, from like an outsider looking in, I don't know anyone, or, you know, obviously I own a studio that has lots and lots and lots of artists in it, you know, we're a big shop, and I don't know anyone who treats their clients the way that Tommy treats his clients. And I think that client experience, first of all, because it's large scale work, so clients are forced to come back over and over and over again. But I think that's why people do very much come back over and over and again. And they say, rather than just giving you, you know, the outside of my leg, actually let's do the full leg, and actually let's also do my back, and actually let's also do my arm, because the relationship and the relationship that Tommy builds with his clients is truly, I think, like second to none. I don't know a single other artist that is as busy as he is, that works the days that he works and the hours that he works. And yes, I think large scale has got a lot to do with it, but I do think very much it's a client experience. Like, he will make sure that he buys his clients lunch every single day. They're giving you £1,000, £20 on Deliveroo realistically is small in the grand scheme of things, but it's something that the client doesn't need to worry about. That, oh, what do you want? Let's sit and have lunch together, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very important.
Sure that there's, you know, fizzy drinks and, like, you know, whatever it is. Even when we've done kind of clients that are a little bit more, you know, high end or whatever, that have flown us out to places, we'll almost have like a little tray that has all of their snacks and all of their whatever on it. So it just makes it for a client, they just need to turn up and just lay down nicely.
Yeah, and it's I work in a private room, and like the studio where I work in is in a private room. Aaron will tell you, like I customize every session to what that client wants to watch. You know, like, but 9 times out of 10 I'm doing something that's either horror related or sci-fi related. I can pretty much be like, if I put Alien on or Interstellar or something like that, or the amount of times we have watched Lord of the Rings doing this man's leg is unbelievable.
It's weird you're not watching like Pirates of the Caribbean or something.
For what?
Because it's sea themed.
It was sea themed.
Oh, not anymore. So sorry about that.
It started out as sea themed and it didn't kind of end like that. But yeah, Lana's right. It's the experience, you know, as to how you get those clients back. But that was all from going and get tattooed by this man, and experiences that I've heard, and also going to conventions and just seeing how people kind of deal with their clientele. As I said, I do understand when some clients need to put some tattoo artists need to put headphones on to fully lock into that tattoo. There's times at conventions when we've been too close to the stage and it is ridiculously loud, and I have to put headphones on just so I don't have an existential crisis trying to do this tattoo. But the majority of it, I think the connection between client and tattoo artist, in my opinion, has got lost very much so in the last sort of 5 to 10 years of tattooing, because everybody is now contacting you online. You know, everything is done via an email. We'll go through all this when I get to the preparation and how I approach a clientele and how I actually do a consultation and everything else, but that is all linked to experiences like this.
Yeah.
So, okay, so what have you written for me? So yeah, preparation. So yeah, she's not wrong. So preparation is everything for me, you know. So like, because of the predominantly the tattoos that I do are larger than arms. As I say, the smallest thing I tend to do is the sleeve. I tend to get absolutely everything done before I actually approach the client itself. So where did you put? Yeah, so at the bottom. So consultations for me, first and foremost, should always be done face to face. I have a lot of clients that travel in and fly in, so that has to be done via Zoom. But I will not take a large scale tattoo on unless someone is willing to travel to come and do that consultation with me. I've actually cancelled clients who, if they're from up north somewhere and they're not willing to come and do that face-to-face consultation with me, I'll just say this isn't for me. If they're not willing to come and do that consultation, then for me they're not going to be willing to travel each time anyway to actually come and get that tattoo done. But I need to be able to, you need to go back one more just so I can, as it says at the bottom, in that consultation, the main thing, the most important thing for me is getting a client to trust me, right? And that trust comes from confidence. It comes from nothing more than you believing in everything you are saying when you are having that consultation with the client. That is your process, your price, 100%. You need to be able to price something up with confidence every single time you say it to someone to make them be able to believe that they should be paying you that amount of money. If you gain a client's trust, I can promise you that everything moving forward from that is going to be 1,000 times easier, you know? Before I was a tattoo artist, before I actually got my apprenticeship, I worked in sales. I was one of those people that would call you up while you were eating dinner trying to sell you insurance, right? It was £1 plumbing and drainage insurance. And I could probably tell you the script now if I wanted to. But the methods I learned in that, in how to, I hear so many artists say this, like when they're doing consultations, or if even at conventions when someone's coming up and someone's next to me and I want to get this done, and they'll ask them if it's okay. Like if they're in a consultation and they'll show them a design and say, what do you think of that? Instead of saying, what do you think of that? Your immediate response is, you like that, right? Like it's prompting them into agreeing with what you actually believe in the first place. It's even with the price. Like if there's any and ahhing around your price, like for me, I charge £1,000 a day, right? It sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money.
I'm an expensive habit.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But for me, like I'm not doing 6 hours a day. You know, like my Aaron will tell you, like when we first mapped out Aaron's leg, it was 2 days of working to nearly 1 o'clock in the morning. Like that's a standard thing for me. Like I like a client to get what they deserve out of that money. So without that trust, you absolutely will not have a good process with the client. And sometimes I think, just with experience, I think that if they don't trust in you, they are the type of clientele that will come back on the day and be like, I want to change this. I want to change this, I want to change this, because they feel that they can do that with you because you haven't got that confidence in what you're saying. 90% of my clients don't question a design. If they do question a design, then, yeah. So, go back one more. If they do question the design, what you'll see after that, at the bottom here, is something that I call a sizing session. Right, now this was something that I only started doing maybe 3 to 4 years ago. And for the only reason being is that I was sick and tired of clients changing designs, like on the day, and it eating into their tattooing time, me having to give them that time for free, and then them expecting extra hours on other sessions because of that time that was being used for the design in the first place. So the way that I approach the consultation, as I said, is gain that trust. The second I've got that trust, which I can normally gauge pretty fast, I let them know that once a deposit is paid, I work on that design. Once I've got the design at a point as to where, you can move forward to the next one. Once I've got that design as the point as to where I am happy with it, it might not be absolutely finalised, but what I do is call them back in for a sizing session. That sizing session is a way, you need to go forward one more for us, darling, I think. We've got the sizing session.
Well, this is all kind of about design, and you're going a bit forward to go backwards, but it's fine.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. So within that sizing session, the main thing for me is that showing a person a design on an iPad sometimes doesn't give the impact of what they need for them to be able to be like, fuck yeah, like that's fucking sick. Every sizing session, I print it off at the size of what it's going to be. So if I'm doing a leg, I print it out of the size of a leg. If I'm doing an arm, same thing. Back, same thing. I can promise you that if you've got a decent enough printer that it doesn't print it out too dark or anything else and it looks exactly as it does on the screen, if you print it out of that size and someone comes through, I would be very surprised if they're not happy with it.
It's dynamic, it's impactful.
Yeah, it gives that impact of them being able to see what it's going to look like at the scale of what is actually going to be done once you've actually completed the tattoo itself. So, where are we?
Do you want me to go back?
No, it's right. You're changing it too much.
Oh no, but I just...
Wrong bit.
You want me to skip all of this?
That's okay. That's it. There. So this is the most important part of what I class as a sizing session, is gauging the client's reaction. Right? So I think we've all done it, and I certainly have done this in the past, but I see so many tattoo artists that will just slap someone on something regardless of how their client reacts to the actual design itself. I have a weird kind of sixth sense, should we say, to showing a client a design, and I can tell immediately as to whether they like it or not. It's an instant reaction, you know. Like I say, the scale is obviously they're immediately like, oh wow, that's great. But if it's just, oh wow, that's great, and it's not, wow, fucking hell, man. Like there's a big difference between that, you know. And I question that immediately. Like I'm not scared to say to a client, what's wrong? Like just be honest here, you know, like that honesty is absolutely key for us to be able to move forward with your sessions and you be happy with absolutely everything. So if you gauge that kind of small questioning in regards to the design, front it immediately. The good thing about doing that sizing session, if you notice that kind of questioning of said design, is that I always, from consultation through to the trust, through to the design, through to the sizing session, I make sure that when that sizing session is done, there is a 2-week period between that sizing session and your tattoo. So if there is any questioning on that design, you have enough time to be able to do that and prep absolutely everything before that session. So not only does it allow the client, it gives them a little bit of leeway, or if you to be able to alleviate any problems immediately and make them feel like you're actually listening to them, but you also are telling them that we have enough time to be able to sort this out. You don't need to stress, because what you may find is that some people might not like that design and they'll go, oh, do you know what, I'm actually not into this. And they'll cancel the whole thing anyway, do you know what I mean, on the spot. But if you give them enough time to be able to understand that you're going to rectify that problem and you sort out that problem on that sizing session, then when they come through to that session, there is nothing more for them to be concerned about than sitting that tattoo. So, as I said, consultation, trust, design, sizing. And the last thing, that was nice.
Did you have a question, sorry?
Go on.
When you do like sizing sessions,
Hmm?
do you bring the like intentionals and things like that?
Of the design? Yes and no. Depends on their reaction. Depends entirely on their reaction.
Like just them like high focus
Yeah.
like 2 weeks and then picking up.
Absolutely. I actually had that very recently. Like I started a Day of the Dead design. Do you remember the Day of the Dead guy? Do you remember I told you I had to move the hand down on the scepter, on the skull? Same thing. So he was 100% over the fucking moon with this design, and I was stoked with it as well. He took one picture of that design. It was a Day of the Dead girl. He said he wanted a skull and a couple of roses, and I'd done it in a really dynamic way. It was something that was a little bit different. He took a picture of that skull, went back, and he was like, I want the skull more detailed. And I was like, I don't really understand what, I can put more texture in it for you, but detail is a different thing to me to texture, right? So I changed the skull. He wasn't happy with the skull. Then I came up with an idea of doing this thing, and like a woman holding a scepter with a skull on top of it. That was all from what you just said. It was because I allowed him to take a picture of it. So even me, you know, like I would say that sizing sessions aren't very normal, like a thing to do with, I don't know many tattoo artists personally that do them, but even I'm still trying to learn with them. So that taught me personally that even if he was happy with it, him just taking that picture, like you said, gave him that 2-week period for him to go back, get friends influence, his wife influence, anybody influence around him to change that mind. To change his mind, sorry. I will say this, is that the design that I did, the one with the scepter, with the skull on top, I actually love 1,000 times more. So there was this universal...
Turns out the client was right.
Yeah, there was a part of me that was like, oh, okay, like maybe there are some times where if someone isn't quite happy with that design and you get that kind of light bulb moment again where you're like, oh, I can change it to that and trust in that, then he was absolutely over the moon with it. It was a bit ironic to me that I ended up putting a skull in it, because he was like, I want a more detailed skull, and I was like, I actually just put the same level of detailed skull but smaller on top of a scepter, and you were happy with that. But that told me that it was outside influence, you know, that was affecting his decision on that. So that 2-week period is very important, as I said, to make sure that the people can, the clients can actually trust in the fact that you will change that. And the last thing I want to say is that from a consultation period is that I do all of my stencils before the sessions. So the main reason I size that up at the size of what it is, so if it's a leg, I'm printing it out at the size of what it is and then making sure that it fits his leg perfectly. The reason I do that is so that when I do the stencil, all I have to do is print that stencil out at the size of what that reference is. So when he comes in, or they come in, it's done. Like it's literally done on the spot. So there's all I have to do. I know that stencil is going to fit. There's no issues with actual composition. It's all your preparation is done. So there's nothing for you as an artist to worry about apart from technically applying that tattoo as it should be done, which in my opinion is all that you should really be focusing on. It is, I do understand this though, it is different for people that do different styles, right? So if you're doing something that's just a calf, you might have the time to be able to do it on the day or whatever. But for me, I think
Time is money.
time is money, but also, like Lana was saying, the experience that a client gets from you as a tattoo artist, if they see you second guessing anything on that day, and you're not 100% sure on it, but you still decide to put that on them, I just don't think that that's a way to.
It's not honourable, is it?
It's not honourable, but
You
it's
look
not
at something and think, I'm actually not happy with that.
It's not a way to actually create a long-lasting relationship with my clients, or any clients, to be fair. Like, I've been tattooing for 17 years. Like one of the clients I still tattoo to this day, and you're Mehmet. Do you remember Mehmet from XR? I've been tattooing him for 14 and a half years. Like, and it has taken him a long time to do a bodysuit. I will take that. 14 and a half years is a very long time, but there's a reason he comes back, and that's because he can trust in anything that I say. That the reason I'm saying it is for him and really for me as well, but mainly it's for him. You know, he trusts in my judgment.
Also, just to add that once you've done the sizing session, even if someone, it's a bit different if they're changing the whole design, but if they're just changing a little element, you've already got the size.
I've already said that.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know where I was then.
Go to skip to the next bit. We'll do that in a little bit. So
You skipped out quite a lot of stuff.
This links into it. So composition for me, right, is something that to this day I see so many artists struggle with. Like so many artists struggle with. Aaron, I'm going to need to borrow you here, mate. There is a way of being able to direct a client's eye, anybody that's viewing that tattoo, their eye, through that tattoo, through the most simple things. So first and foremost, if for me, if I'm doing any type of face on a thigh, I never put them front on, ever. Like I'll never, I have done in the past, and that's lesson learned for me, but I'll never put it front on so the eyes are just straight out. It's some kind of side profile. It doesn't have to be dead side profile, but it has to be, she's looking that way, like coming through. I try to make sure as much as possible, this is a bit different because there's a couple of sources of light in this, but Lana?
I know, I'm just trying to...
All right, it's fine, yeah, I know it anyway. I try to make sure that all light sources are matching, all right? So like composition is something that not only directs the eye, but it also allows for longevity. So this tattoo is nearly 2 years healed. If you saw what it looked like when we first done it, you wouldn't have been able to have seen half of the details that were in from what I was saying earlier about that woman's face. It was very, very dark, right? Like this was nigh on black, like, wasn't it, when we first done it? But the way you can kind of space things out to leave enough gaps in between sections like this, so this has enough room to breathe over the years, 10, 20 years down the line. Even the way that I've done a lot of the detail, and you're more than welcome to come up close if you want to see, but the way I've kind of lined these in rather than leaving tiny, tiny gaps over time that shading is going to kind of move into and kind of blend out into the skin. I've made sure that I've taken a lot of traditional approaches to tattooing and applied it in a manner that looks real. I wouldn't class a lot of what I do as realism. Right, like in the sense of that, yes, I do portraits, and of course I'm going to try and make sure they look as realistic as possible. But when I'm doing my custom work like this, it's more about flow and about style and about how it's actually applied. So with an S-curve, there's not many places, whether it's an arm or a leg, that you put an S-curve on that is not going to work with the body. Right, so muscle structure and bone structure are incredibly important when it comes to looking at a tattoo. It sounds really morbid to say, but when I actually first started doing or learning composition, I wasn't looking at I was looking at body parts that didn't have skin. Like I'm not looking at corpses, but like actual medical anatomy drawings. If you look at medical anatomy drawings, I can guarantee you can find your flow lines on that area just from looking at where the different muscle structures join in together. All right, so like in the way that a quad, the way that her chin sits directly underneath here is directly where his quad finishes. Like the way this curls round onto here is the way that the tendons from there join down into that calf. The way that this comes down from the ankle, like the way that flows down on the front there, is exactly as it would be as if you were to take that skin off and see all the muscle structure that was underneath it. So I can't stress enough that it's about learning human anatomy. She's all right, she just needs lifting up. Human anatomy is incredibly important. It gets a little bit more complicated when you start adding certain elements into designs in regards to, and we had a discussion about this recently in regards to what way things should be facing with on arms, you know. So there's an age-old debate in tattooing in regards to what way things should be facing. Personally, I always used to on forearms actually face them inwards, because I was always taught for everything should be facing inwards. If I'm approaching a large-scale sleeve and say I was doing Aaron's arm and it's going down to his hand on the outside here, then predominantly the top side of his forearm is where I'm going to be doing that tattoo, which doesn't really leave much room for me to be able to do something on the back of his forearm. So I would actually face the opposite way to make sure that I could fit that forearm in. So there's ways to be able to balance it. If you balance it and you have to kind of change the direction of something, then especially if you're doing a face, for example, you don't have to change the direction of the face, you can just change the direction of the eyes to make sure that they're looking in a certain direction. So again, it gives you that look of going through it. But again, S-curves, if it's not a back and it's an arm or a leg, or a full like torso piece, then S-curves are your best friend. Like before, when you take a picture of your client's body area, like throughout that consultation, and I will always say this as well, because I actually missed this section throughout the consultation, is do make sure you take your own pictures of a client's area they're going to get tattooed, which is why it's important to do that face-to-face consultation, is before you even get any images onto that, it's S-curves. So it's taking the shape and drawing an S-curve, and then maybe taking the opacity down slightly so you can see the shape of that tattoo. Once you see that shape, when you start searching for your reference, your eye will immediately go towards something that has that shape anyway. And then it's adding other elements from there. Go on.
Put it back.
I just said that, yeah. Okay, so yeah, so this is a very, very important. Aaron, you can, if you want to just chill on the bed, mate, you're welcome to.
It just lays nicely.
Yeah, that's it.
Gonna
Just
shave
paint you like the like Titanic. This is a really, really important thing. Finding your reference images. I'm not too particular in regards to where I find them from, right? Even I still use Pinterest. I use Pinterest for a lot of my custom kind of sci-fi stuff. I'm not opposed to using AI. Aaron's leg is AI. There was 76 layers. I took a basic image from AI that I actually generated myself on Midjourney, and I put 76 layers of editing over the top of that to make sure that it actually got to where it needed to be. I'm absolutely not opposed to AI. I'm opposed to AI being copied directly, like getting an image and literally just slapping it straight on. I fully understand that. The reason I'm referencing AI into this is because you might be able to find, as it said, a beautiful image doesn't automatically make a good tattoo reference. There is a way of searching for reference that is going to save you hours and hours and hours of time, or a way of editing those images to be able to save you that amount of time as well. So
Also, just to note that on Pinterest, if you're looking for images, they are all AI.
they are now, yeah.
They are.
They never
They
used
are.
to be. I mean, it says it now. It says AI modified in the corner, but they never used to be. Obviously, we live in that world now, but for me to find an image, the main thing that I'm looking for is the same thing as what I was saying about things being readable from a distance, right? So first and foremost, it's contrast. You don't have to skip that, it's fine. So a very, very, very good tip for this is that once you've got that body part with your S-curve on, say we're doing a leg, you've got that S-curve on it, you've taken the opacity down so you can see the muscle structure, you've kind of worked out where the quad is, where the calf is, where the knee is, and the dips in between the knee to make sure you're looking for that direction. Once you've found your reference, do not start putting that reference straight on that body part immediately. I do this with every single image, which is why my designs take me so bloody long to why they take me so bloody long to do is that any image that I find, I put into, you can do it on a phone or you can do it on an iPad, but I put it into your editing app that for any picture, if you were just taking a selfie and you want to change the contrast on it or whatever else.
It's just a Photos app.
Yeah, the photo app, yeah. So I change a couple of things. So I will
Do
make...
you want to link it up and do a demonstration?
yeah, I might be able to. I don't know if I've got an image that isn't actually unedited, because I do it with every one, but hold on, let me find one. So I'll just tell you first and foremost, so I darken the contrast. I take the actual brightness of the image down. I change the warmth to cool tones immediately. And
Even if you weren't doing black and grey?
Huh?
Even if you weren't doing black and grey?
No, this is for black and grey.
Okay, well then that's
the
fine then.
seminars for black and grey. So it's, I've lost what I was saying now. So I take the contrast, the brightness down, the warmth, I turn them to cool tones. I turn the highlights up as high as they can go, and then I turn the exposure up very, very, very slightly. That will give you a much more defined way of being able to approach that design as a tattoo. Once I've done that on that image, I then put that into Procreate. So I do that with every single image once I've found them before putting them actually into Procreate. Once you've done that, you're going to find that all light sources match, especially if you're searching for something that has a light source coming from the left or from the right. If you find an image that doesn't quite have the right lighting on it, and you apply what I just told you to that image, I guarantee you it will have the right contrast on it. So even if you find something that isn't quite actually usable for you, you think, oh, that's a bit flat, applying those things into it first before you put it into Procreate will make it usable for you. If that isn't quite working, then, and I do this myself, when I tattooed at Tattoo Expo, the convention 2 months ago or whatever it was, I found a face that I was absolutely fucking obsessed with, and I could not get the light in. It was just too dark on one side of the face. I put that back into AI, and it took me 24 times of putting prompts back in to be like, I want the direction to be from this exact area on this face. So I think AI is a tool. I don't think it should be a search engine, something that you straight up copy. But if you find something and you can manipulate it with AI to get it to a point as to where it matches everything else within that design, then I think that is absolutely the way to go. Just go to the next one. This one. Yeah, so again, this is very, very important as well. Not that anything else isn't, but like I was saying with Philip Liu, like being in that environment of feeling inspired. There's not many times that I don't do a design that doesn't have Pink Floyd on, or Interstellar. Like
We've seen Interstellar so many times.
I have, you haven't. You've seen it in the background. Like I need some kind of like visual or audio kind of stimulation, like in the background, for me to be able to feel inspired. Where you're doing those designs, I think will kind of eventually come out within that design, if that makes sense. Like if you're in a stressful environment, you're probably not going to get your best work out of you. If I'm sitting at home and we've got 1,000 things to do at home, like I'm not 100% on it. If I'm doing something like a large scale design, I'm normally in my private room with Pink Floyd on and a film on in the background, because I like as much things going on in my brain as humanly possible for me to be able to reach some form of level of inspiration, you know? So yeah, with that design, always make sure that you're in a head state as to where you can get the best out of it as well. What's this bit? I don't really think, I think I've said that.
About,
Yeah, there is this as well. So, as I said, Aaron's leg was 70 plus layers, do you know what I mean, for us to be able to get it to where it is. Some of my best designs, I can say I've done them in 10 minutes, because they were just ways for me to be able to be in an environment that I'd say I feel inspired, and I already know, it sounds really kind of almost like clairvoyant-ish to say, but after I've done that kind of consultation process that I was saying earlier, I know what I'm doing. I can see it. I can literally see it in my head. It's finding those images to match what I can see within my head. My best tattoos have always come from me trusting in that idea from consultation that I see in my head, and then finding those images that are as close to it as humanly possible, and then obviously manipulating that in a way that is going to be legible and readable as a black and grey tattoo. Like I don't think it's a very hard process once you learn what works for you in regards to how to do a design. Okay, yeah, so this is where it gets a little bit more in depth. So when you are kind of putting those together on an iPad, I am not just designing that for a design. I am designing that for the way that I tattoo it. Okay, so like the way that I turn that little bit of exposure up on that editing app to make sure that I know where I'm leaving all of your negative space within your tattoo. Not only that is that I'm looking for my, and we'll go through this on my setup later with my inks, I'm looking for tones that I know that match my inks. Not exactly as Diffusion ink that I use, but tones that are similar to a light, medium, dark skin white and blacks. So the way I'm searching for those designs is to make sure that they are easy for me to read and for me to be able to stencil, so I know that I can pick out each areas. Did I mention about the actual needles?
Yeah, well, yeah, you say you're mentally picking out what needles you're designing.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. So when I'm looking for that design, it's about tones, and it's also I'm preemptively putting that idea into my head in regards to what needles I'm using as I'm designing it as well, you know. So like if I can see a certain area, like when I've done Aaron's design, I knew that all the black I'm using a 25 mag. Do you know what I mean? I know that all the little areas that aren't quite as sharp as a round shader, I know I'm using a 7 mag. I know that all the areas that don't need to be as harsh as a liner, they're a round shader. So it's the way that I'm putting it together is always leading up, and it leads back to the first thing that we said about this is your preparation. You know, like everything I'm doing is leading it up to a point as to where when I come to that tattoo, everything is exactly as it should be, and I'm just applying it and basically transferring what I've done in that process onto skin. All of my, and I used to hear this from other artists as well that I really looked up to, is that all of the work is in the design. All of the work is in the way that you're doing your stencil. Like all the work is in the preparation. Everybody here can tattoo. You know, like yes, you can learn better techniques and you can learn better needle configurations and inks and stuff like that, but we all know how to apply ink to skin. It's the little things beforehand that make that easier for you on the day, so you're not having to think whilst you're doing it. It becomes like muscle memory. So I'm just looking at my iPad and knowing, okay, I know that I said in my head 2 weeks ago that bit's extra dark, so that just extra, I'm just filling that bit in extra dark and then just focusing on the technical application of it. So it's really about, for me, making sure that I don't have to think. I know that sounds really weird to say when you're doing a tattoo, but it's the more breathing space I have to think about space and planets whilst I'm tattooing, the more I've got a chance to be able to just follow it step by step. I hate to use the word paint by numbers because it's not quite as simple as that, as we all know, but it's that step, you know, of making sure that you're just following it the whole way through.
Also about not hand stenciling, but
yeah, so I class hand stenciling, because I'm old, as doing it as hand carbon, right? So like up until 3 years ago, I hand carboned everything, like everything. And it took me a lot to have to get away from that.
And I think the reason that it took a lot is because Philip Lou once came up to you and went, "Oh, you're hand stenciling." Yeah,
yeah, he did. Yeah, he actually did. And the one time I was brave enough to talk to him, yeah. But I feel like even on an iPad nowadays, and I have used AI, I've tried every AI app humanly possible for stencils to see if there's a way that it can do it as a hand stencil. A hand stencil nowadays to me would obviously be stenciling it on your iPad, right? But doing your dots for your shading or your transitions, doing your lines for your harsher areas and whatnot, I think there's something in doing that. Whether you hand carbon it, whether you do it on an iPad, or whether you do it via AI and then go back in to re-edit it to make sure that it's correct. Again, it's muscle memory. Like the way I do my stencils, which are, I can probably, we did have a couple of pictures on there somewhere, didn't we? Yeah.
After this section, we'll put the
I can just show you a rough one here, if you want to have a look. So the way that I do my stencils are very, very, very simple. Like they're not, so that was Aaron's leg. So as you can see, that face there's nothing to that. Like, I'm not marking in anything than just structure, and it's all done by hand. Like, I'm not getting an AI app to do that at all. You know, like, it's the way your mind breaks an image down is how you should apply that to a stencil, in my opinion. AI is good nowadays to do it because obviously it takes hours of your time out of your day, do you know what I mean, to do this stuff. But it will never do it the way that your mind breaks that image down, you know, or the way you approach a tattoo, or the way your mind kind of looks at a face and goes, right, okay, I know that bit's medium tone, that bit's light tone, that's solid black. So doing it by hand gives you that way of kind of leading into what I was saying earlier. You know your needles for what areas you're doing. When you hand stencil it, you know what area you're going to be using that needle for, and then all it is just applying it to skin. Yeah, so as you can see there, again, on the image, I don't know if you can kind of work out exactly how I've kind of based the structure as to what you've got there, but even on these areas here, it's a very good way of kind of explaining it. So like the way that you've got the black, or how simple this skull is here, versus how detailed it actually is on Aaron's leg there, it's breaking it down in a way that is visually comfortable for you. So you're not looking at that stencil, or say I'm tattooing here, my iPad's here, I'm not doing this every 2 seconds, like, and second guessing, which I do. Do you know what I mean? Like but I've learned over the years that the more simple the stencil, the easier it is for your brain to be able to comprehend exactly what you're doing at that time. If you go to the next one, Lana. So again, that's the inside of Aaron's leg. So you can see exactly how I've kind of applied it onto there, and obviously what it looks like outside of it. It's a very, very simple way, you know, like if I was doing a portrait and I needed like very, very smooth transitions in between it, then that's when I'm applying the dots to make sure, rather than doing lines, because my brain immediately kind of, if I see a line, I think harsh transition rather than it being like a softer one. Whereas on here, you can see the majority of all of this. So like this area here, where it's a little bit lighter on here, it's a bit dark on this screen, but this I did this in my extra dark here, versus where I've got this here, there's nothing in there. It's just the structure, because I know those tones that I've already picked in there. Like I was saying earlier, I know what tone that is before I actually even approach that tattoo itself. So the more simple they are, in my opinion, the better they will be. It is entirely dependent though on how your brain works. Like I've got friends that I look at their stencils and I'm like, no idea, like absolutely no idea. Some people like to use those inverted stencils where it kind of brings out the opposite. My brain can't do that. I absolutely cannot look at that and think, right, that says dark, but that's actually meant to be light. My brain needs that visual kind of instruction to be like, dark, do that dark, you know? So I can't, as I said, that thinking thing for me is quite difficult. This was I still really want someone to get this tattooed, and no one has actually got this, honestly. It's one of my favourite designs I've ever done. But this was a really good, the reason I put this one in was to show that kind of, those flow lines that we were saying earlier, in regards to structure, and to make the way your eye follows the design down. So there's very simple tricks in this to make it look like a certain area. So you'll find, like on the back of someone's knee, you'll always have the structure of muscle coming up in here. These tiny little lines in here to obviously create the back of someone's bum. The way these lines are coming down leads into that, which kind of gives you that kind of curve that's coming into here. These to match almost the ribs, so you're kind of getting that joining of like looking into the main focus of what you got into here. And I wanted that eye for that line, that center line, as you can see it comes down here, to follow all the way through. So it's a way of your eye immediately, and it doesn't matter where you look at it, you will follow some kind of line to join it up into that. And if any of you do want a back piece, let me know, because I'd absolutely love to say that. But yeah, that's a good way to be able to explain. The guy on the right was meant to be here, but he actually ditched me to go on a date today, so that's not very nice. But I was going to show you his tattoo. But again, there's a certain way.
You set him up on the date.
I did actually set him up. I didn't realise he was going to go today, so he actually texted me last night to say sorry as well. Yeah. So just the way that this, like the UFO transitions into here, very simple, you know, like it's just very simple lines just to come through. But that he's got quite.
He's little.
He's little, yeah, but he's
a little
like
guy.
he's toned. He's got like a very toned body. So the way those lines kind of transition between the bicep and the forearm, again, very, very important. And you can see the same thing in regards to what I was saying earlier on this S curves. It's an S, you know what I mean, coming through. This bit's a little bit different because there's a big old cover up that we were doing in this section down here, so it had to be really, really solid. So for me to be able to balance that out with something else, I needed that S curve to come into here. I did actually add something on the day, because we started this at convention, in this section into here, just to take away from how dark that actually was. But if you guys want to see these a little bit more in depth, then you're more than welcome to go on my iPad, because these really do not give over how they actually look and how they're going to be applied to skin. So yeah, there's just ways of being able to make life a little bit easier for you when you're actually approaching them. And as you can see there, that was a picture that I took of his leg to make sure that I knew the exact muscle structure of what was going there. I then reference that to what all of my human anatomy images, so I can see exactly what's underneath it, and then everything fits from there. In a bit. So for me, this is the most important part of this seminar, all right? Contrast. It's what creates a long-lasting tattoo. It's what allows your eye to read a tattoo from a distance. And I think it's also something that takes a very, very, very long time to learn. It's, like it says there, it's not just light and dark. There's ways, especially if you paint, I think a lot of people know this as well, is that there's ways to be able to get contrast between texture and smooth versus light and dark. You know, like there's ways to be able to, the light and dark is the most important, I would say, like in a tattoo design, but you'll always find, like the way I've approached Aaron's leg, for example, like the backgrounds are blurred out, you know, versus the detail that's forward. So there's ways to be able to create that contrast, not just in the tonnage of the actual inks you're applying or the way you're kind of approaching that design, but there is also a way that you can do that in, as I said, texture versus smooth. So being able to create a depth of perception on a design will give you a much more dynamic feel and a much more of an emotion in something if you've got something where it's looking into the background and something is coming forward to it. That then gives you the chance to be able to do, again, we go back to the S curves, if you're doing something S-shaped behind something that was forward and the S was blurred out behind the background, you can then bring that S a little bit more forward and it gives you that kind of thing as to where you're looking into something. What did I write here? I've forgotten what I've written. Yeah, so separation as well, between the balance of where you're leaving these contrasted areas is very, very, very important. Like I was saying on there, where you've got that light section on the skull versus the bottom and the light section on the face versus the tentacle, they're not accidentally done like that, you know. It's about creating, on a leg, I would predominantly do 4 points of focus. I tend to bring my leg sleeves come up quite high, so they
come up to like,
yeah, it's like hip, you know, like if you're going off human anatomy, then hip to ankle to me is a leg sleeve. A lot of people stop a leg sleeve here, and to me that stops the natural flow, so you can't get those 4 points in. I think an area of contrast here, mid-thigh, knee, calf, is a very, very good way to have a balanced, contrasted feel to everything that you're doing. So, and this is, again, I'm not trying to call anyone out on this, but as I said, a lot of black and grey artists fall short because they rely too heavily on mid-tones. Like, I see so many black and grey artists that should just be called grey artists. You know, like there's not, it needs black. Like, people are so scared of putting heavy blacks like into a tattoo. And I don't quite understand why. Like, if you understand the balance between the black, mid-tones, lights, skin, white, then there'll never be too much, because it's always just a certain percentage for you to be able to break a design down. So, and like it says at the bottom, if everything is a mid-tone, you'll find that nothing stands out, like at all. You need a black background, or if you're going for a black background, that then tells you that your light source, your foreground is going to be lighter. If you've got a lighter background, it tells me that your foreground is going to be darker. It's a very, very simple thing. I think light next to dark, dark next to light is just the easiest way to think of it. If you've got a real black thing or a dark section, put something light next to it, you know, like or lighten the image that you've got next to it to be able to create that contrast. You then add that texture versus smooth on top of that, you're onto a winner. Like, there is absolutely no way that won't be legible or readable from a distance, you know, and as I said, with black and grey, that is the most important thing. So you might want to, I don't know if you guys can actually, if you can get a picture of that on your phone, but yeah, you're more than welcome. If you need to go closer or whatever, I would say take a picture of that, because every single one of my tattoos, let me get out your shot as well, is based on that. I'm just going to grab a water. Do you want a water? Sure. So darker skin tones for me are, I would take 3 of those out. So if I used to work in a shop in Palmer's Green called Ink Lounge, and 90%.
Where is Palmer's Green?
North London. Yeah.
Where? Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
The Haunting.
Yeah, the Haunting, yeah. Yeah, so I'd say 90% of the clientele that came through there were dark skin. I used black, medium, well, depends on how dark their skin is, right? So like, I would, instead of using 6 tones, I use 3 tones. And I can promise you that there's no difference between a dark tone and a medium tone when you're doing that. It's about how much skin you leave with darker skin tones, you know? So it's quite hard to do. When I first started working there, I wasn't particularly used to working on dark skin tones at all. And I worked around Chanel, do you know what I mean, around people that were what I would class as like masters of working on darker skin tones, and less was way more. You know, like I would approach a face, and instead of using, or I've watched people with them doing it, and I'm like, they're missing out like half of the things of what my brain is so used to doing. But then they would come back healed, and I would see it. You know, like you would see how much contrast there is in that. It's entirely, as I said, dependent on what skin tone you're actually working on, and how their skin obviously reacts to it as well. But yeah, darker skin tones, I would say what you've got on there, I would use 100% black, probably mid-grey, and skin highlights. I don't think you really need much more than that, in my opinion. But yeah. Okay. So this is a hard one to explain. What we might have to do is, it depends on what you guys want to see, right? Because tomorrow is predominantly going to be tattooing. So, and obviously we'll be working on a certain section of this. For me to be able to explain this section, depends on how you all learn, right? I learn visually and being able to see something. Would you prefer me to saturate a certain area on his leg and explain? Yeah? Yeah, I'm seeing a couple of nods there.
So we're doing it now?
Yeah, so what I'll do, you guys have 5-10 minutes yourself, because I've just pummeled a bunch of information at you. I'll get this set up and we'll do a little bit. Okay, so in regards to everything that we just went through in saturation and the differences between making an area look a little bit darker than what it will be via healing, it's not going to be the best because it doesn't translate too well onto the presentation, onto the screen. But Lana, if you just flick to the next image for me. So you can, if you can't see this, it's not the best, honestly, but if you go on my Instagram, the most recent healed piece that I did would be the one that's on the right. Now, it's going to be hard to explain this because we can't actually see what's going on here, but for example, that area that I just shaded and saturated, that light grey, right, is exactly the same as what I've done here. So that's the same tone, but saturated properly on a larger area. And then you can see the same shape, how it's healed here. So versus what it looks like with a CPL filter, obviously when you're taking it, it's very, very, very dark, and obviously how red that is as well. Sometimes I feel like with redness, it is a sign of trauma and it is a sign of overworking if it looks, to me, I call it dirty red, like if it goes really, really dirty red. However, if you do get some areas, like Aaron, like when I tattoo Aaron, he goes very, very red. If it looks smooth under that redness, I can almost guarantee you that when it comes back healed, you're gonna have an area that's gonna be saturated correctly and it's gonna be the tone that you want it to be. So it just leads back to that thing that I was saying earlier in regards to trusting your tones. Once you've done a bunch of tattoos, whether you want me to send you the link to the fusion ones and you want to try them, or whether you've got a set that you're kind of using at the moment, I do want to say this, is that if you have any other questions in regards to actually applying this into your work, this isn't like a kind of one and done thing kind of after the seminar, in a sense of that if you have any questions or you're unsure about anything at all, because I understand it is a ton of information to chuck at people, then do message me. You know, like if you're concerned about a certain area or you're thinking I'm not 100% on that, then message me and obviously I can give you a little bit of advice. If you go to the next one, and again I think it's going to be too dark, but yeah, it's way too dark. I don't know why it does that on this projector. Can you make it lighter? Is that brightness all the way up? So it's exactly the same thing. Like you can see the tones, again, you can go on my Instagram and see this piece, but the tones on the Jason mask at the bottom were very, very dark versus how they've healed on this side here. So it's something that it takes a long time to get used to. And it's also, like I say, dependent on the skin, and there's a lot of other elements that do come into it. But as I said, I just want to reiterate that please do message me, or maybe I can create some kind of, or maybe Lana can because I'm terrible with technology, some kind of group chat or something where we can all kind of talk after and kind of go through it or kind of bounce off of each other. Yeah, we can maybe do a WhatsApp group so you've got some kind of contact after to make sure that this can all be implemented properly. And the next one, Lana? It's all right. Okay, so this is something that I want to be quite interactive with you guys. So have any of you ever had a shocking heel on a tattoo? And be honest, because I have. Like I've had ones that are like, if it ever got made public, I'd be like hiding in a corner for the next 2 years. So, and Lana's the worst at looking after her tattoos. So it's the worst. She picks hers in front of me and then just tells me that I can touch it up. Yeah, I know, I'm aware. Yeah, so I think it's worth going over the importance of making sure that you're not just tattooing for that first picture. We're always going for heels, you know, like I said in the first line, that it literally means fuck all, like if it's not going to look good. Not just within the first couple of months, but also good later down the line, and that leads into obviously what we were speaking about with the longevity earlier. Like I was just saying previously, in regards to us being in contact with each other after the seminar, that's equally as important with your client as well. Like Aaron will tell you, like I'm the first person to message and be like, how's it going? Like, is there any issues? You know, and if there, because I think clients have this kind of idea that once they leave the studio, that's it. And of course it is down to them responsibility wise to them to look after their tattoo. But I think that whole kind of experience thing I was saying earlier, if you're able to kind of connect with someone and gain a good relationship with someone, and you want a long lasting relationship with someone as well, you need to make sure that you're either contacting them or there's a point of contact for them to come to you. I've had so many clients over the years that have come back in and I'm like, what happened with that? And they were like, oh, I just didn't want to message you, like I felt awkward. And I'm like, I say the same thing, I don't care if it's 5 in the morning, like message me and I'll get back to you as soon as possible, rather than winging it and asking a friend or asking someone who doesn't know how my work heals. And I think that's something to focus on as well, is learning how your work heals, right? So for me personally, Aaron's had a section on the top of the inside thigh, right, was it? Yeah, top of the inside thigh, where it's just slightly over creamed. And we've done we're 16, nearly 17 sessions in on his leg, you know, like, and every single one of those has gone absolutely fine, then all of a sudden one doesn't. It's about deciphering how that's occurred, you know, like I normally have the same kind of spiel with my clients in regards to being like, did you do this, did you do this, did you do this? And if they say yes to all of them, first of all, I know they're lying, because if they had done all of that, then it would have obviously come back correct. But second of all, it's knowing what to say to those clients if they are having something that goes wrong. So the safest method for me over the years is a dry heel. Now, dry heel for clients I think is quite a scary thing, especially when it starts looking like it's about to crack. I think a client who's used to getting tattooed understands the difference between that, but for someone who's new and getting a newer piece, then it can be quite daunting to look at that and think, why is my skin shedding this way, or why is it about to start looking like there's lines or wrinkles or going through it, right? So the way that I ask any client to look after a tattoo, the same as what I've just done with Aaron, is I use tattoo armor for absolutely everything. It doesn't have to be tattoo armor. I recommend it because it's the best one I've ever used. I was just saying to Luke, you can get puppy pads, you know, like for a third of the cost of what you can for tattoo armor. You'll find that a lot of those puppy pads actually have powder inside of the pads to soak up obviously anything that dogs or whatever animals are doing. Yeah, some of them I've got over the years are scented. That powder can cause huge issues, and I'm saying that from experience, and that was before tattoo armor was even a thing. Like they obviously took the idea of it, branded it, and have turned it into something that's great. I was using them way before that, just like the standard blue ones that we've had in the shop before, and you need to know the difference between them. So the way I look after anything is clean it. I use foam first and foremost to clean any tattoo, and I'm talking directly after you finish the tattoo. So foam to clean it down, and then I always use cold water. Cold water will close the pores. Any hot water, I'm not in agreement of letting people going in and having a hot shower directly after it. I do not agree with that in the slightest. Once it's wrapped up in tattoo armor, I do not cream it for 4 days. It depends on the person. How many days do you go without creaming it?
As long as possible.
Yeah.
So if it's not fitting like it's going to crack, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, what do you guys use for aftercare? Out of interest. Huh?
Yeah,
Dry heel, what about you?
I'd use second skin.
Second skin.
I still just ask people to put on, or I'll usually have it in the shop.
So is it, if you don't mind me asking, is it Dermalized or is it a different brand of?
It's Star.
Unistar. Yeah, okay, Unistar, yeah. Yeah, okay. Because the reason I was saying is Dermalized, as big as a company as it is, and it is tattoo artist owned, it's owned by a guy called Alex DePass. I've seen severe reactions to that. Like almost, yeah, and the Hustle Butter one. And I'm talking like nigh on chemical burns, you know, like on the skin around it. So I think it's worth, leading back to that consultation, is if you know your whole process, including the healing, and you're explaining everything in that, there is a way to ask someone if they are allergic to, let's say, plasters or something that has adhesive on it, right? So for me, tattoo armor is the safest. As I said, wrapped up, all good. Wrapped up, no cream for 4 days at all, and changed morning and night. Now, if I'm doing I predominantly do multiple sessions on a client at a time, right? So leading up to, the most I've done is 5 like days in a row, which is nigh on the thing you're doing on the first day is peel it. Do you know what I mean? It's already peeling. If you're doing everything right, in my opinion, and the client has good skin and is looking after it, day 5, it should be peeling by that point. My client I had in yesterday, I was working on his leg, I tattooed him on Tuesday, it was already peeling. And that's nothing more than just keeping it dry. And by the end of the day on the Saturday, it was actually me that recommended it. I was like, you need to put some cream on that. If you are going to take everything from this seminar and implement it into your work with heavy saturation, then for example, like second skin slides off. It's so weepy, do you know what I mean? Underneath it, yeah, it's the same as a colour piece, you know. Like I've used second skin on some of the pieces I've got, and it's leaking out the edges of it. And sometimes for a client to replace second skin is quite a scary thing. you know, because I've seen people do silly things where they just try and yank it off as if it's like a plaster. They're not putting water underneath it. They're not pulling it with the direction of the skin. So I think it's really important to tailor that aftercare to your client, to your work, and also to how your client just is in general. As I said earlier, if you're getting someone like your dude, the gym dude, do you remember, like that dude? If you're getting someone like that where you know they're going to do something wrong, a dry heal for me is always a safer option. Even if you do use second skin predominantly, then it's definitely a better way for them to look after it. But in between that, there's no showers. When I'm doing 2-3 days in a row, half of my clients don't shower, like, because they'll come to a hotel like by the studio, and especially if I'm doing like an outside of a leg and I'm doing like from here down and it's already mapped and I'm doing quite a big section, that pad cannot get wet. You know, it can't go from dry to wet, from dry to wet, from dry to wet. At that point is when the skin is going to get very, very tight, and it takes the slightest movement for it to split. I had the exact same, when I had my arm blacked out here, I've got like a couple of scarred lines on here. It was about a week after me getting it done. I didn't cream it for 5 days. I put gloves on at work. I literally went to go and reach, so when I was downstairs, I went to go and reach something in the cupboard and I felt it split. So healing is a hard one because everybody is going to be different, right? Like, everybody's skin types are entirely different. So if you learn how you work and how quick your pieces are coming back, and almost in the same way that I write down everything in regards to when I have those light bulb moments, if you do have any heals that come through, write those things down, you know, as to why people are actually having those issues, because you'll normally find it's a couple of things. Over creaming is a huge one. Washing it for too long as well is something that I've had a lot of clients over the years say that they've been washed 10 days in, they're still washing it. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, that shouldn't be even a thing. And after you've actually completed that process of doing the, let's say, 4 or 5 days with the pads, it's then just cream, do you know what I mean, for 2 days, twice a day for a week after that. I think the pads are a good insight for you, especially with clients who aren't quite used to it as well, is that I normally say to any clients who've not used this method before, once you take the pads off and there's nothing on those pads, that's it. Like, the pads aren't needed anymore, you know? But like I say, everybody is entirely different when it comes to that. So have any of you ever had any actual disasters with clients? Ben? Oh, really? I didn't know that. Really? He definitely did something. Yeah, go on.
I had someone who left their opening on for 2 days, didn't tell me. 2 days.
They left what on?
Huh?
They left what on, sorry? Jesus Christ. What, before you got...
Be active after doing it.
That's why I literally kept on applying it. So I was like, doing this.
Oh.
I don't like using anything anyway.
What, is it 2 days previous to getting tattooed?
And I was like, it's 45 minutes. Make burns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was skin fucking like rubber.
Yeah.
I was like, what? The first line, I was like, what? Oh, I've used it. I've used mum cream. Okay, but this isn't like, yeah. Yeah. Oh, you've been to put it on like 2 days before.
I think they make 48 hours like patch
Like 2
test.
hours,
They've got
45 minutes.
48 hours.
Yeah.
I know, yeah.
2 hours, like maybe 2 hours maximum.
Yeah.
Maximum.
To touch very lightly on numbing cream, I did a video once. Do you remember we were saying about the numbing cream? And honestly, I had to battle so many people in the comments for weeks on end. I'm not a fan of numbing cream, right? I do understand that for people that are getting tiny tattoos, so something that's going to take less than an hour, should we say? I understand I agree with that.
But it's tattoos that take a long time.
I do agree with that, but at the same time, Lana has a friend, which is what I actually did the video on, and yeah, she does, who actually ended up having to have skin grafts for like 6 years across the whole of her chest and up her neck, from using TKTX. Yeah, so yeah. Which is exactly what happened to Abby, and then it looks like a horror film. Like I actually asked her for permission because she's one of Lana's friends. And I was like, would you mind sending me those pictures? And do you mind me actually uploading them just so I can kind of give some kind of awareness for it? And the thing for me with numbing cream is it's, first and foremost, it's vascular restrictive, right? So it's drawing the blood away from the skin. That's why you'll find that the area, sometimes it will go red, sometimes the skin will go very white, like underneath it when you're actually tattooing it. So it's drawing that blood away. Obviously, when you're doing long sessions like what I do, that's the world's worst enemy. Once that blood comes back to the top of the skin, you're going to find that not only is it going to weep 1,000 times more than what it would previously, but all it is doing in the first place is actually just killing the pain receptors within that area. So once that wears off, and then the brain starts realizing what you're actually going through, it's like a brick to the face, you know, like it's the tattoo pain times the last 3-4 hours or whatever where it hasn't been there if you actually get the good one. And I've seen so many bad heals with it. I've seen people, did anybody know a guy called Ant Fleming, tattoo artist? Did you see? You can literally see in the video that it hasn't healed the same on the other side, and he tried defending it within the video, and I was like, if you have eyes, you can blatantly see the difference between the two sides of it. I get the concept of it, you know, but there is the reason I got absolutely ripped for it is that within the, if you get a chance, read the comments, they're hilarious. Because I said within the video that a tattoo should be earned, right? And so many people thought I meant financially and not actually via the whole process of a tattoo being like, if you're going back to where tattoos originally exist from in the first place, there's something in getting through a tattoo session. Yeah, and learning something about yourself. And not only that, but when I've done huge pieces on clients, yeah, I know, right? When I've done huge pieces on clients and they get through it without any numbing agents or any Bactine or anything else like that, and they go to the mirror, yeah. No, but I'm saying when people don't use it, or when they kind of just sit it and they tough it out, there's that real sense of achievement that they've actually got through that. Not only have they got a great piece of art on them, but they've also managed to actually get through something that is hard, you know, like, and it's almost that rite of passage thing. Like if you've got like a back piece done and you go to a convention, you see someone else with a back piece, you're like, yeah, hurts, doesn't it? You know, like it's one of those just where you've earned your way into tattoo artists, knowing that first and foremost you can sit well, and second of all, like you said, it's a spiritual thing. You know, there is definitely a part of it where myself personally, like I've always been tattooed in parts of my life where something is happening. Something has gone on where I'm like, oh fuck it, I'm getting tattooed. And it's an outlet, you know, like it's some kind of release. And I think we probably could all say that you've had clients who have come through over the years that have gone through something, or whether it's a memorial tattoo or whether they're covering up some kind of self-harming scars or something, that they're getting it for a reason to get through that kind of process within their life. So yeah, when I tried to explain that via video, it didn't particularly go down very well. Next bit, longer.
Is it just about?
Yep. So 3 to 4 days. Yep. So this is the main part. So like, it's a lot of information that I've just chucked at you, and obviously tomorrow, once you've kind of all taken it in, and kind of thought about it tonight, I'd really, really love for you to come back tomorrow and kind of think on it, and if there's anything else you want to know. But any seminars I've been to, I know. What have you got to say about it? It's just wants water. And any seminars that I've been to over the years have a section at the end with feedback, all right? And this, go on mate, go and look after her. Feedback for you guys. So be brave with this as well, you know, like, so I do you have any, because I did ask you to bring iPads and stuff with you, do you have any designs? Do you have any tattoos? Or do you have anything that you want me to personally look at that I can give you some advice on? By all means, show me, and we can sit there and go through it all, you know, like together. Now we can just go through a couple of bits if you've got anything at all. Right, so is there anything on there that you're not 100% happy with?
I think something that I always struggle with is like building contrast. I am actually relatively happy with the contrast of the stuff. I feel like the legibility
Yep.
is like there's not enough texture in it. I want it to do loads of like little texture.
It's cool, I like the design, first and foremost. So.
I feel like I struggle with kind of getting a bit looser with texture.
Yep,
Keeping it too structured.
Yep.
Too clean looking almost.
yep. Is it, I'm guessing it's unfinished as well, right?
Yeah.
Is it finished now? Have you done it? Yeah, okay.
There is like, it's going to be almost like a full leg, so in the bottom, it's kind of like a spider goat head thing.
Yeah, it's cool.
And we're going to do like prey and trapping webs and stuff on the bottom, so it's going to be more of like quite a large scale.
How long have you been tattooing, if you don't mind me asking? It's good. It's really good. The black's solid. If you're struggling with texture and you don't want it to be so like uniform throughout, then remember what I was saying earlier with the round shader, with just kind of etching it in and just kind of getting a little bit looser with it. If you bring that stroking, the throw, sorry, a little bit closer in with a round shader, it's never going to be as defined when you actually hit the skin with it. So it allows you to kind of get a base layer of texture, and then you can pick your points out on top of it that you can kind of define as to where you're like, oh, I really like the way that went in the skin. And they're a little bit more kind of natural rather than following a design. You know, like that's one thing I tend to do if I'm ever doing, like, I do a lot of vampires, right? Like, and a lot of women's faces, like blood splattered all over their faces and shit. And I used to be very particular in regards to how I'd approach blood, because I wanted it to make it look like it was bubbly and all of this. Whereas now, I literally just get a round shader or a liner and I just fucking dot, like, all over the face. I don't even look at the image, you know, just to kind of do that. So I think that could be something that might help you out a little bit with that as well, is not looking at the image so much. And I'm guessing you obviously drew that, right? Like on the left, yeah, exactly. So if you drew it, then you know where the texture should be. But if you kind of want to accentuate that texture, then don't look at the drawing as so much, create the structure, and then just act like as if you're drawing it. You know, like, rather than focusing on that reference so much. It's great that you're drawing it, I will say that. Like, it's you can tell you understand light source, like 110%. What needles were you using to do the texture? Can you remember?
I used a mix of, I want to say an 11 round shader.
Yep.
But I used that, I think, probably more so to create like, you know, under the eye, just to get that
Yep.
sharp.
Yeah.
And then I pretty much do everything with a 15 mag.
So like these sections here, I can tell this, I know it's already done with mag, but like these areas here, all mag work. Yeah, so you could, like, to create more texture in that, you can do exactly the same thing, but use like a larger round shader. The largest round shader I use is a 25. And a 25 round shader is phenomenal for texture, because if you need to pack something that's a little bit, that's like when I'm doing like a back piece and I need to kind of not spend too much time using like a 7 or 11, it's just gonna take forever. A 25, you can pack an area with it, but you can also get a little bit looser with it and create the same kind of directional lines that you would get with a mag, but then also come off of it and add some little extra kind of bits on top of it. But I would be happy with that. Like, I think that's a great tattoo, absolutely. And it doesn't even look like, it's barely even red. That's one thing I will say.
When I tattoo is I like a skate over its skin.
Yeah.
Layer it.
Okay.
I never really go in.
You're never packing it immediately. Yeah.
Kind of got a bit fluffy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think does kind of allow me to go into an area.
Yep. Absolutely.
before it becomes-
Overworked.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Like, I think on the tentacles at the bottom,
Yep.
they use a round shader for.
Yep.
And I felt that, like, as I was doing it, it looked too liney.
Yeah. Yeah, you can, normally that's, every time I've experienced that in my pieces, that's from having the throw out too far. That's what I was saying earlier. If you drop that throw in a little bit, then you won't get that as like defined line. And then you've kind of got a couple of directional lines that are not like grey lined, but they're just brushed into the skin. So then you can pick what lines you want to actually use out of that. And the ones that are a little bit softer underneath, that then allows, it creates more texture because they're already there. So you're getting like layers and layers and layers of texture over it. But as a tattoo, I think that's great. I'd wear that. I think it's, and is that a style that you draw? Would you say that's your style?
If I could do that every day, I'd be a very happy woman.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, no, it's really cool. It's really cool. It's nice to see that you're actually drawing it as well, because I think if you can immediately see, even the way you've just like very roughly shaded that tentacle coming off here. Other side. I'm drawing up. Even the way you've just right up. That's zooming in up. That's it. So like this little section here, right. The way that you, Lana, the way that you've done this here and kind of got this section coming over, I can just tell immediately you understand layers. Do you know what I mean on there? And understanding lighting between the layers as well I think is incredibly important with that kind of stuff. Yeah, no, I think it's really, really good. I think round shaders or bigger round shaders would definitely be something that would benefit you. Like just try different. They're actually Killer Inks ones, to be fair. I got them at Bristol, the 25s, the Stellar ones. They're fucking amazing. They're really, really good. So maybe give them a go and do that thing I said in regards to the texture, so you don't get it to look like you've done it with a liner rather than with a round shader.
I picked up a round shader. I mean, for the first time this month.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I mean, I started getting my arm done.
Yeah.
And he said,
Yeah.
watched him tattoo, and he goes in and details everything first with the round shader.
And then shades over. Yeah, 100%.
Saw him do that, went and bought a box, so
Yeah.
I started this beginning of July.
Yeah, nice. Well done for doing that. Because when I did it at my first seminar, I shit a brick trying to put my work up there. Whose is this? Where are we? Nice, Xenomorph. Absolutely love a Xenomorph. So, same thing. What is the main thing that you're not 100% on?
I think composition-wise,
Okay.
it's just kind of, we've got a couple of floating heads
Yep.
propped up on each other.
Do you, out of interest, when was this something as to where you had a client who told you they wanted a full sleeve beforehand?
Yeah.
Did you design the whole arm before you started it?
I don't think so.
That will help.
Yeah.
That will massively help. So, again, that's not me trying to call you out. I did that for so many years. Trying to put designs together. I'd do something. I used to do a lot of like 3/4 sleeves for some reason. I don't know why I was obsessed with them. And then it'd always leave me this really weird gap down the bottom, and it would be like, oh, this doesn't quite match up, or it doesn't quite sit right with that. I will say this, and because I am such a HR Geiger fan, I've tattooed a lot of Xenomorphs, and they are hard to fit on an arm. I've only ever done one. They're long. They're so long, you know. Which is what I did. I had to, and I tattooed on it on my client George, and that section where you've got the towel coming across, I actually to zoom out a little bit for me, darling. I actually did the Xenomorph. It's on my Instagram somewhere, but I did the Xenomorph coming down to just below this section here, and that area I was saying to you earlier where you join the bicep down to the forearm. I took the towel and actually changed it from the image and flipped it into the right direction of what the muscle structure was, just to make sure that it flowed with it. Because that image, I know exactly what image that is, and that towel is in the most awkward place to fit on an arm. I haven't got my Instagram on mine. No. Yeah, it's a very hard thing to do. What are they doing for the rest of the arm? I'm intrigued. If they're going for Alien and Predator, what's the others?
So, I mean, he originally wanted it to be patchwork.
Okay.
And I said, I think you guys will repeat this.
Yeah, nice.
But the plan for kind of around the top of the shoulder is going a bit left field with it. And I think we will do like one of the original astronaut suits.
Okay. From Alien?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the face hugger on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to do just like a skull in it.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be really cool. Have you ever looked at Geiger's artwork? Out of interest. So, before you, it's funny you say this because I literally finished. Do you remember Matt who came in the other day where I was doing that Biomechie's Geiger stuff around his Xenomorph? He had this piece done by another artist years and years and years ago, and it was it was a cool, very similar to what you just said, which is why I said I knew the face hugger, what you were talking about, because he had the xenomorph and then he had the cracked astronaut's helmet with the face hugger on it, but you just couldn't decipher between what it was because it wasn't done very well. So I redid the xenomorph and he was like, look, I really want some kind of biomech-y background. And there was a couple of Geiger's paintings that I'm like just fucking obsessed with. And there was a couple of sections in those paintings that I actually decided to put around the xenomorph.
So I was looking at, I think it's the second one where you see a lot more of the like, it's like the architecture in the ship.
Yeah,
And where I want to feel like the inside is full on with that kind of.
I'd recommend looking at the original artwork for the Geiger sets. Like, so the way that he designed, are you talking like the spines that are on the wall that kind of curve? Yeah, I've got loads of stuff at home, yeah. Yeah, don't worry, I will forget, I will forget.
Tonight, tomorrow, then we can bring some books and you can grab some photos and some reference because we have so many.
Yeah. Yeah, because his sketches before they were actually made into the sets are, I mean, without the man there would be no biomech even in tattooing, you know. So like, there's the way they flow in with like that gap. Has he got anything at the top, or have they got anything at the top of their arm at all?
No.
So you've got quite a bit of space then as well, right? Like, yeah, I mean, even if you put the astronaut's mask above it and then did some kind of biomech. I haven't done anything.
When I tried the air drops overnight, was it
Oh,
the MacBook?
to Tommy's iPad.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you put the astronaut's mask above it, and then you have that kind of rounded shape at the top of the shoulder, which is exactly what I had to do with my client's arm the other day. There's a lot of curved sections of just like biomech panels that he's done in his paintings that would just fit there perfectly, like absolutely perfectly. So it's mainly composition then?
I would say so. The Predator was my first attempt at realism.
First attempt, Lana, go back on it, please.
So I have had some guidance, and one of the guys I've worked with, like, mentored me.
Yeah.
And he sat down with me at lunch and talked to me with a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And it does need more complexity.
What was the difference between, so the bottom bit you've done a second pass on?
Yeah.
What was the difference, what did you find the difference in between the first pass and the second pass? Or what did you approach differently?
It was just about bringing a lot more depth
Yep.
to them, because where I'd been too afraid, well, I got really caught up in putting textures like inside his mouth.
Yeah, making it look like it was, yeah.
Yeah, but I was too light with it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to create roundness, and it's it's not round, it's a fucking hole.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
It needs to be dark.
Yeah.
We made that a lot darker, and the kind of spikes around the top of his head.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that. I could see the shading around the top there for you as well.
Hadn't gone as dark.
As what you, to kind of create that look that is kind of further back. Yeah, 100%. Out of interest, what do you use a drop system or do you use grey wash drop system? What black do you use? Dynamic. Is it the triple X? Yeah. Try.
I feel like it's really weird that you knew all of that information. Very strange.
Try a wash.
Yeah.
Because dynamic, Ben, if you know Ben's work, he uses dynamic, like their actual grey wash, and it sits really nicely with the black.
Some of the guys we work with use a grey wash rather than the drop system.
One thing I will say with a grey wash set is you never have to worry about consistency. You know, like it takes half of a drop extra in a cap one day and it's going to look slightly off, or
Especially with pack.
yeah, I need that consistency personally. I did used to do a drop system a long time ago, but I found that I ended up getting to the point where I was making bottles of it because I was so sick of actually getting that inconsistency that I was like, if I get a bottle of it, then at least I can get a couple of months out of this being consistent. But that dynamic set that sits really nicely with the triple X, then I would say try that. You'll get a lot more depth immediately with that because you'll have a much more truer grey tone versus your blacks.
It's probably easier to visualize it when because you said about drawing things, when you're drawing them, you know what like needles you're going to use.
100%.
Do the same thing with the,
Yeah,
with the sets.
100%. But for your first attempt at realism, I think that's great. I don't think that's bad at all. Mine was you saw that skull I did. Like that was that was way worse, honestly, way worse. But yeah, two things I would say is if someone does come in for a full sleeve, then do what I said in regards to taking pictures of that whole area and design that whole sleeve before you even approach it. That then stops you from having to worry about composition. You know where everything's going, and in turn, it gives you less, like we were saying earlier, to think about, in the sense of that you know exactly what tones are going where, and you can decipher what inks are going to go into those tones. But I mean, as a xenomorph, that's the exact image I did on that big outside arm, that xenomorph. I know that image, and it's not an easy image to tattoo at all. The front of the mouth is great, and that bit that goes down the side there, like I don't know, you know what that bit, like the bit that goes up the side of its head. I fucking struggled to tattoo that. Like, it was very hard to tattoo, very hard.
You kind of want to make it up, but then you shouldn't.
Yeah. I think when you're doing such an iconic sci-fi monster, do you know what I mean? It's a xenomorph. It was, and even like I remember when my client came in and asked me to do it, and I was like, yes, like this is the best day ever. And then I approached it and I was like, this is the worst day ever, because I wanted it to look like it was fucking translucent, like how they are, and yeah. It's I think it's great. I think your actual like technical ability there, especially with the bits where you shaded like the depth in the top, like the greys versus the blacks and everything, and how you've kind of brought out the texture and the detail in the front of the mouth. And I know what bit that is as well that goes around the corner. That's like darker, you know, like than the foreground. I think that's great. So I think if you just work out that composition beforehand and have it set out as more of a plan for you, then it will just be easier to approach, rather than feeling like you've got to fill a gap. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I haven't really done a lot of sleeves.
Yeah.
Either, so I think that's probably why I didn't like just try and look at all of it.
Yeah, and it's a scary thing, you know, like when you get given such a big canvas like that for the first time, you kind of like, I used to try and fit 4 things on the outside of an arm. I would always do, instead of doing like whole bicep, whole top of forearm, I predominantly now only do 4 elements, like on an arm, maybe 5 if I can fit like something here and then a small scene underneath it and then something. But yeah, I'd always go off the basis, if you're planning a sleeve, pick 4 things, make those things bigger so they fit the area. Anything that isn't quite fitting on that area, flip it. Like a thing like a xenomorph towel, if it was a portrait of Geiger holding a xenomorph towel, then yeah, fair enough, it has to be exactly as it is, but a xenomorph towel whips all over the gaff, you know, so it doesn't particularly matter what way it kind of flows. And for me, I really struggled with that image, because I was so excited to do it, and then when I saw that towel, I was like, oh, I don't know where to put it. But yeah, even it felt wrong me doing it that opposite way for it to go down, but that was the only way that I could get it to actually flow. And I actually, funnily enough, I actually did a predator on the inside of his arm as well. So the client, I feel like anybody that gets xenomorphs, they're like Predator, Alien versus Predator. You know, they seem to love it. But yeah, technical ability wise, I think is very good. Try a grey wash, because that will definitely give you more of a depth immediately. And then you can add those textures in and kind of define the difference between the greys and the blacks. And then if you're moving forward to doing more larger scale stuff, just make sure you've got in that consultation, just say, look, I need 4 images or 4 ideas, and then plan that first and foremost, and that will really help you, I promise you. All right, you're welcome. Who's nice? What is at the bottom? Is it a 3/4?
Yeah, it kind of goes down and then you put like an iris and like to let it smoke.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, I see the smoke here at the bottom. So same thing, man. What is it you're not 100% on?
I think it's quite flat.
Okay.
And maybe more contrast, like actually like in the trunk and the actual face of the elephant.
Yep.
I like the side of it.
Yep.
But yeah.
I understand what you're saying with it. I don't think it's as flat as you think. I think what you could have done to kind of lift it forward a little bit is, so this is something I do on every single sleeve, is instead of just bringing that background, it's really hard to do with this projector, That's right, no, yeah, it's fine. Instead of just bringing the background to this top section here, see this little bump you've got up here? I bring every sleeve up to that, to the trap. It meets the trap. Like again, if we're going off of human anatomy, if you were to take that skin off, that shoulder muscle is going to reach that trap, all right? So if you bring it up and almost, you see this little gap that you've got here? So if you bring that, what I do is I go off of every sleeve I do, if I'm taking pictures of it, I'll draw the lines on first as to where I'm going to go to at the top. So I normally draw a line from this crease of this armpit here, coming up and reaching that bump up the top, and then coming round from there. If you do that, I mean, this is lovely, man. Like the way you've done all of like this section into here is great. I think the eyes are really nice. If you just go, yeah, go on, keep going, keep going. One thing I would say that would have helped, is doing this section here, behind that hand, a little bit darker. So it lifts that hand forward. In regards to it being actually flat, I think that's more in your head than what you think it is, if I'm honest with you. It definitely could have more of a darker tones in there. So like anything that's kind of, I always try and say this, right? So like anything that's forward on a tattoo, like the way that's kind of reaching its hand forward and you've got this section here, you could have always done this bit a little bit darker underneath to, again, just to lift that, look like it's coming forward a little bit onto there. The actual technical ability side of things, man, like these are stunning. Like these are really nice. What did you do them with? Is that a liner or a round shader or?
I think I certainly made, I've done it like a year ago.
Yep.
2 sessions.
I can imagine, yeah.
7 months definitely, and maybe around I'd say.
Yeah, nice, man. It is really nice. I think the textures in the face, the textures in the trunk are really cool. I just think it's for you. I think composition. I definitely think you understand composition, like the way where that hand fits on the. I'm guessing that's like here, right?
Yeah, kind of
Like coming into the crease, yeah. Did he have anything on his forearm? Inside forearm?
not yet. Still yet to do it.
Okay, so again, so if, like I was saying earlier when I said I always used to do a lot of 3/4 sleeves, because that's going to be obviously directly in the crease. I understand why you've done it there because it fits directly on that image that's there. But what you could have done to kind of take that, not flatness, because I think it does have a nice contrast on it, but you could have dropped that down slightly and moved it onto the inside of the forearm. Do you know what I mean? So the hand kind of comes down onto here and that hand then drops round this side, bring the trunk down a little bit further and then create those layers in between like the trunk and the hand and the actual arm itself, man. But I think that's a nice tattoo, bro. I don't think that's, I think you should be proud of that, man. No worries. Yeah, here. Is there anything else apart from the flatness of it that you wasn't 100% on?
No, it was mainly like, I think I was more like, not gutted, but on the face of the elephant, I thought it was like, contrast.
Yeah, 100%.
It's too light. I will go over it, so I have like a...
Oh, you think the face is too light?
Yeah, like at the end of one sleeve, I'll do like 3 sessions.
Yep.
Go over it, so I will be going over it, but I just thought it was light. And I don't know, I kind of struggle with like sometimes separating a reference image to then like tattooifying it onto the skin, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say earlier with that section, as to where you can pick the tones out in the images, work out what needles you're going to use, and then you've already kind of, let's use your terminology, what did you say it was? Tattooified. That's a good word. I like that word. Tattooified it beforehand. When have you done the second pass on it yet?
No.
One.
The rest of the arm, like there's a bit of gap in the inner bicep.
Yep. One thing I would say is if you want to kind of not have it as, I hate to use the word flat because I don't think it's that flat at all, but you could darken this, like into here. That immediately brings that forward, like to make that ear look like it's coming, like it's set back a little bit onto here, like the way that kind of joins into here. If it was me personally, I would shade over that, so it looks like the bottom of his ear is kind of back here a little bit. Into there, and even just little things like this, like just darkening these little sections up, and the bit that, so as if this is almost like cylindrical, yeah, like the way this is kind of coming up here. If you put a nice bit of dark shading into there, it's immediately going to make it look like it's like indented. Do you know what I mean? Like this, because these tones that you've got here are quite close to what you've got coming around the eyes. So I think the eyes are nice. I think you definitely darken up mainly the features and around here, and just make this little section into here, because that, to me, that's almost like, it almost looks like this is further forward than this. You know, whereas if you drop that into that darker shading into here, it'll give it that effect that trunk is kind of like super coming out, and then his tusk is like slightly tucked underneath it, you know, and then you've got that same kind of shading and that blend coming down from here. The way the light source is, with the light being on here, you could get away with just shading a little bit over the top of this and doing this a little bit darker into here, and doing the same with those two bits that I said down there. That will immediately bring all of those other little bits, like this little bit around here, instead of having the texture of the trunk underneath here, because these fingers are quite close to the tone of there, just darken that. You know what I mean? Completely in there. The direction of the trunk will still be coming down this side anyway, so you don't need to worry about it losing its kind of direction or flow of what's going in there. But if you put some kind of darker edge around those fingers, it will give more contrast to that hand straight away. It will set the back at the bottom of the trunk further in. And if you do that, it brings these two bits forward, and then a little bit more darker shading in there, man. But yeah, I think it's a really nice tattoo, bro. Really nice. I feel like I'm on Ink Master. Just not Dave Navarro. Just not Dave Navarro. Who's that? Oh, nice. Yeah, that's really cool, man. So same thing. What is it you're not 100% on?
So, for a bit of context, it was a day piece at a convention. I want to try and play my strengths more and do more of like a smaller scene rather than like a bigger composition.
Yep.
The thing that I feel like I slacked on a bit, slack's the right term, but the finish of it is quite harsh. It's just kind of a straight line. I did attach, there's another image of the actual design. You can see it's just essentially a straight line where it ends.
Where is it?
So it should be. There should be another image of like the design. You can see the. So you can see it. It essentially. Go back to the. Sorry, that one.
Yeah.
Just essentially, it literally finishes like that. It was an A4 sheet of paper. It finished at those edges.
Yep.
And I feel like it's held me back a bit the way that I've
put it together.
Yeah, I feel like A, it's not finished well, and B, it doesn't flow with the flow lines well.
Yep.
Of the leg, and I feel like those are the two biggest things that I'm not happy with.
Yep.
Essentially, when it comes to it.
I understand that. So was it something that you approached with it being joined into another piece at a later date? Or was that kind of not 100% when you did it?
Yes, it does want to extend it, but I wanted to try and do it as one singular piece because I did it at Tattoo Expo, so I wanted to enter into Best Small.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do it as a singular thing that we could expand in the future.
This year, was it this year's Tattoo Expo? Oh, nice.
But I feel like I've done it as if I can extend it, but not finished it well enough for the day, if that makes sense. As if it was a standalone thing.
Yeah. Do you feel like, being honest with yourself, do you feel like you rushed the edges of it just to get it done? Not to get, that's the wrong word to say, not to get it done, but do you feel like you focused more on making it, getting like the detail and everything in there, rather, those, go back to the other design set, Lana? So, are you planning on putting these in later date?
Yeah. So
you are? Okay, right. That makes more sense in regards to what you just said then, yeah.
I feel like, because, I should have, because it was a convention piece and it was a one-day piece, I should have finished it better because I wanted to enter the competitions. Yeah. I feel like the second, of course, my client's going to walk up there, judges are going to look at the fact that whilst the main piece I'm happy with, but it's got this, it doesn't finish well to the body until I extend it. Yeah. I feel like I need to treat things as a smaller individual thing, especially for conventions at least. Yeah. And get it to flow with the body a lot better. Yeah. I just feel like I've really... I understand that. Like conventions can kind of put you in a bit of a position sometimes as to where you kind of do things that you don't particularly want to do because you want to get up on stage. Yeah. However, I will say this, is that Expo this year was first time in 17 years that I've won an award. Only reason being is that I'm never done in time. And I never, ever, ever falter on that. I've probably entered 3 competitions in 17 years.
yes, I agree that recognition from your peers and recognition from people who are on a judging panel is a great thing, right? It's nice, like it is nice. Of course it's nice to receive an award, who doesn't want to do that? However, it doesn't make you as an artist. That's one thing I will say. What does make you as an artist is understanding the difference between that even if you did try to finish that, you were never finishing that in a day. Even if you tried to put those edges on, do you know what I mean? And the competition wasn't in place, you probably still wouldn't have finished it. Do you know what I mean? Within that day. So whilst I understand what you're saying, that you've got to understand as well that I've judged probably 20 conventions. I understand how the judging works. It's not what you think, I will say that first and foremost. But we also do understand those elements that come up into it. Personally, every time I've judged a convention, just to give you a bit of an insight in regards to if you do ever put stuff up onto stage and it doesn't get something, or it's not, you don't win or whatever, is that a lot of the judges aren't going off of what the edges look like. They're 110, like me personally, I go for technical application all day long. I can tell 90% of people's tattoos that come up to a judging panel before they even, 9 times out of 10 now, they don't tell you who they are for that specific reason, because there's always someone's friend on stage that they want to give something out to, which I don't agree with. But you can tell who it is, and don't feel bad that you didn't quite get those sections in there. If it was something that you wanted to put up there to make sure that it might have won, what did you go for? Small, black and grey?
Yeah.
Like, go back to the tattoo liner for me a sec, just flip back one.
The other image, I think.
Is there opaques at the bottom of that?
I mix my own like white washes.
Okay,
So
yeah, nice. Yeah, so it's definitely more of a greyer tone at the bottom there rather than it being a wash, right? Technical ability wise, mate, that's great. Like I don't think there's, in regards to the way that you looked at that image, like from design to skin, I don't think there's much more that you probably could have done based on the image that you did have. One thing, go back to the design from here a sec, Lana. One thing I would say that might have helped is, this is great. There's not much contrast on this. It's all a bit samey in regards to tone, you know? Like, yeah, you do have this kind of darker section that's obviously coming through here, but there definitely could have been something added to that now go back to the tattoo a sec, Lana. It's all right. To make this look a little bit further back than this. Again, that's just personal preference. You know, like, that's not me saying that's a great tattoo, mate. Like, texture-wise and everything, I think it's really, really good. Even these tiny little bits you've done up here as well. Like, I noticed the little things like in tattoos. Like, I think that's really, really nice. The armor here is fucking great. Like, that's really, really cool. I think it's probably because you know 110% what it's going to look like once you put those wings on. And you know how much of a better piece it's probably going to be once the wings are on versus how people are viewing it when they're not there. Do you know what I mean? So judges wise, it's, if you do ever do this as well, again, and you do kind of enter into a competition, did you tell your client that it was going to be extended? Did you tell them to tell the judges?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've always done the same, like only the ones I ever have entered, or if someone ever comes up to me as a judge, the first thing I ask is that being continued? You know, because then there's certain elements that you're not going to kind of be judged for in that sense. But yeah, I think you should be really happy with that, man. Really, really happy. Where are out of interest, the wing that's going on this side, have you planned that to go across the knee?
I was going to work it out because, first of all, I want to know what he's thinking
for the rest of it.
Extend the scene out and have more. I was thinking maybe having like a castle on the other side that's like crumbled and like broken down.
Inside calf.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like I want to see what he likes first, because I was thinking of maybe getting him to disappear into smoke. So then he doesn't have to, if he doesn't want to go too much over like the knees and stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of cut the wings off there, was because as well, like I can, depending on what his preference is, I can either do the full wing and go over like the knees, or kind of have some some smoke and stuff where they just be behind. I can
kind of tuck the wings away type of thing, rather than them being in place. And I actually think you're probably better off doing that.
Okay.
I think if you were to put that wing on the right-hand side of it, if that's exactly where I think it is, I'm guessing his knee is starting just here, Yeah, so like for you to put that wing directly across the other side of his knee, compositionally wouldn't really make sense. The back side of it would, if it was going behind like behind the back of his knee. You could get away with kind of putting that darker wing, the light, go back on the design for me, Long? Yeah, like this, you could definitely get away with putting like this darker section towards the back and then having the smokiness coming from this lighter section. That would look quite cool. But I think if you put this going directly across the knee, it might not be recognisable as being its wing, just because it's going to be something that's going to be first of all, it's very hard to put something over a knee, especially in that shape, that's not going to distort too much. But also because it's quite dark on that side, to me it actually makes more sense to have this on the other side, because you've got this nice light section coming across here. So for that balance we were speaking about earlier in regards to the design, you've got that nice light section of grey you've done here, you've got a nice section of light here, and then if you add that at the top there, then you've got that balance. Then it doesn't matter if you kind of bring that smokiness in this background kind of to flow round the shape of the knee, rather than it being like a static image going over something that every time he does that, it's going to fucking do this anyway, you know? So, yeah, design-wise and tattoo, man, I think you approached it really, really well. I think you've picked out the areas on the head that are the most recognisable as well, because on that as a design, the actual tones in the middle of the face, there's a lot of, like what we were saying earlier, there's a lot of mid-tones and just highlights, you know what I mean, on there, rather than it being like a really heavy contrast. But I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't worry too much when you put things like that up to judges, because especially if they're going up and saying this is going to be extended, you know. So yeah, it's a really nice tattoo, man. Even the little drop shadow you've done at the bottom as well is really cool. It's nice, very, very nice.
Do you think that?
Sorry, go on.
When it comes to like, of course, like flow of muscles and stuff, do you think it should have been positioned, like any parts of it should have been positioned differently?
Personally, I wouldn't. It's hard, right? Because if you're looking at that calf, the head is slightly to the right, rather than being centre. Now, I get why you picked that image with like it running towards the dragon. Do you know what I mean? I do understand exactly why you've done that. If it was me personally and I knew I was going to put the wings in, I probably would have gone for more of a side profile dragon. Okay. I definitely, the one thing I do like about things where it's like running towards it is that if you had this character at the bottom running towards it and you had the dragon kind of, the dragon's body or tail or wing or whatever you want kind of coming up in this direction, like going up towards the thigh area, then it gives it that kind of look that this is much further set back, where at the moment this looks like it's coming forward. So the only way that you could really kind of continue that compositionally to make it look correct is to put those wings on. So you've got that kind of flapping effect that it's kind of coming towards it. Unfortunately, where that's going to directly go onto the knee, I personally think, as I said, it would be better to put that wing that side. And then I actually wouldn't even really do much of the wing coming from that side. If you're going to do the castle that's going on the inside, do that broken off and whatnot, or set back in the background and quite dark in the way that you've done, like his leg like darker and further back, and then have some smoke and shit coming back off that comes back into this. You know, so like the inside calf comes back into the top of this piece, but leaves you with enough room that when you get to like on Aaron's leg where the chin is on the woman, when you get to that like kind of curve on the quad, like if they were tensing their quad, it doesn't reach any further than that. So the smoke kind of comes back up, round, underneath the shape of the quad muscle, and then back in to this piece. That's what I would do, because then it creates a bit more of a flow to it. But yeah, if it was me, I probably would have either put that on the thigh, so you've got a little bit more room, you know, for those wings to go there. If you're like, or if your client's 100% set on the that design itself, then the more room you've got for those wings, the better. Or done a little bit more of a not completely side on, but just something that was facing a little bit more this direction with that character running forward. So you've got 2 points of kind of direction. You know, you've got something that's going forward that you can create, like smooth, blurry background, like that smooth versus texture, like what you've done at the bottom. Something a little bit more side profile, so then that gives you the chance to swing it like back up, do you know what I mean, towards the top of the leg. So I don't think it's definitely redeemable, like for sure. You add that smoke in, like 110%, because then it kind of, if you put the smoke across the top of it and make it look like it's coming out of smoke, then those wings wouldn't be there anyway, you know? So, yeah, that's how I would approach it moving forward. And the same thing as well, man, was it something that they told you that they wanted a full composition before the convention?
It was, I literally, so I didn't plan to do the convention. I got invited 3 days before and went, oh, fuck it, sure. So it was a bit of a last minute.
Actually going to the convention?
Yeah.
Okay, so fair, yeah. I've done that before, yeah.
Yeah, it was very last minute planning. I was trying to come up with a few ideas. He said he wants to eventually have more of his leg done, but he kind of gave me free rein with that piece, going like, look, do whatever you want to do. I know you're into the competitions. So I said, that's why I suggested to him, like, because he said he loved, he's got like pet lizards that he breeds and things like that, and he loved lizards and stuff. So I was like, why don't we kind of have like the knight versus like a dragon idea? Yeah. It was a bit like let's just do this one, and then I've got some ideas on how. For
the next one, yeah.
But yeah, we had 3 days to the convention, and I was still working for those 3 days as well. So it was a bit like, let's just.
It is tough, man. Conventions are hard, you know, like they are something that I've been doing them for 15 years. I still freak out. You know what I mean? Every time I go to one, 9 times out of 10 now, I will only take a piece with me like Aaron, that's already like halfway on the go, like putting stencils on, getting the design sorted, making sure it fits. Did you have a chance before the convention to size anything up?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So at least you've got the idea then that you know that it's going to fit beforehand. That's a tough one. I can't really give you notes on the fact, because I've done so many conventions where I'm like, fuck, I've got like 10 hours here. Do you know what I mean, to get this done? I've done designs on planes, in hotel rooms, and just out of pure necessity to make sure that it's done for the convention. But yeah, moving forward, ever since I've ever kind of done something like that, and the stress that's caused me, I've always made sure that if you ever take that client to another convention and you've got that piece on there and whatnot, then you've got a chance to be able to join into something and kind of, just finish off something. Then I would definitely say do that. But as a tattoo itself, man, I think like technical ability wise, spot on. How did it heal?
I haven't seen it yet healed.
Okay.
I do need to get in contact with him and get him to pop back in. Because I know he's unsure, he wants to continue it, but unsure when, because I think he's just had another kid.
Okay, fair enough.
It's a bit like, I do want to do it, probably like a year's time.
Yeah, yeah.
I do need to, reach out and see how it's healed. I know I'd saturated it as much as humanly possible.
Oh yeah, 100%, yeah, I can see that, yeah. I can absolutely see that. Even the way you put the white in as well, man, it's minimalistic, but it's done with intention. Do you know what I mean? Like the way you kind of put it together, for sure. As I said, one of my favourite bits, man, is like just the texture you've done behind the back of the head versus how loose that is versus how defined it is on the head with the highlights. Like that gives it that real kind of depth that I was talking about earlier. But yeah, it's just the way the design's falling onto the skin. Do you know what I mean? Like the way that head is just slightly to the right there. Kind of pushes that wing a little bit too far on the right to go directly over the top of the knees. So I definitely think if you've got that idea of that castle, do the castle as if it's just fallen and it's got that smoke coming off of it or something, and then you can bring it back round into it, and that then cuts off where that wing would be. Bring that just below that quad area, or just below underneath that quad muscle, so like the smoke kind of swinging underneath the quad. And then I don't see why you wouldn't be able to join that or swing that smoke back up, do you know what I mean, onto the thigh and make it look like it was always meant to be. I really don't think you'd have any issues with that at all, man. But it's a nice tattoo, bro. Especially, you say you mix your own greys as well.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a weird way of doing it, so I put quite a lot of...
Which is, tell me.
So, I've changed it a little bit now. What I did with that one was I had a dynamic grey wash set, but then I would put 5, 10, 15 and 20 drops of white in essentially my darkest dark light and or medium and light. And then mix those with the inks, so it kind of... It's a weird hybrid between...
A wash and a go opaque.
Yeah,
for sure.
Whitewash idea, essentially.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, I've seen...
It helps a lot with, like, I treat it like pencils, so it means
Yeah.
like, it kind of brings the range down.
Mhm.
So it means that I can go over it as much as I want. I know it'll hit a certain tone and then it won't go any darker.
Yeah,
So I
which
can
is
just
like what I was saying
saturate
earlier with that light. Yeah, exactly the same thing. You can reach like full saturation knowing that it's going to heal a certain way. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, everything you've just explained, man, sounds to me like you understand how to actually apply it to skin. Maybe it's just more of a compositional thing about how to design more of a large scale thing, first and foremost. If you ever approach something like that again, and it's something that's like that has very wide points on it, pick the biggest part of the body first, especially if you're on a leg, you know, and don't worry about completing it at that. I understand you had 3 days to get it sorted, do totally understand that. But if you're ever doing a convention again and you've only got a client in for 1 day and whatnot, put the whole composition on for it being like the outside of a fire, and just whether you decide to do it with mapping like I do, or whether it's something you want to just focus on a section, don't worry about finish it at that convention, plan for the next one. Plan to think, okay, I'm going to smash the daylights of how this looks in regards to technical ability and application, and plan for it to be something that when it comes around to the next convention, because I will say this, is that as a judge and listening to every other judge I've ever sat next to, we are all more impressed with seeing something that has a healed section next to it and a fresh section directly next to that, so I can see exactly how that is going to heal, than something that is fresh. You know, because 9 times out of 10, man, it's 4 judges that, like when I judged Brighton this year, I was the only black and grey judge up there. Do you know what I mean? Like, which is why I've always never liked putting my pieces into competitions, because I'm like, how dare you tell me that's a bad tattoo? Like, you don't fucking do black and grey. Like, yeah, you might be able to tattoo. I've always said that there should be judges up there, a couple of judges that have the same style or are working under the same thing, and it shouldn't just be 4. I feel like it should be way more judging wise, and you get a bit more of an insight in regard, because my opinion versus someone who does traditional is a very different thing, right? Like a very, very different thing. So yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned of what they thought, because any person in their right mind can see that that's a good tattoo, bro. I'd just say moving forward, if you're going to do like the idea of it doing larger compositions, do it on the bigger area, let that bit heal. And I always say, like Aaron, he's come to I can't remember how many conventions now, a few. How many? Or is it just God's? Oh, okay, I thought it was a few. Other clients that I've taken to conventions, there's a way that you can kind of almost convince them to get you to come to other conventions by doing it cheaper. Or a lot of my clients, like me and Lana, take to conventions or coming and traveling with us. I'm like, just pay for my hotel and my flight. Don't worry about the money for the tattoo, but just know so we can take it to a couple of different conventions. So then, because we see the same kind of judges at conventions, they can see that healed versus that fresh, and that fresh and that healed. You know, so I would approach it like that. But yeah, be proud of that, man, because that's a really good tattoo. It's a really good tattoo. Who's next? Whose is this? Oh. You tell me what you're not 100% on.
Hand tattoos.
In general?
In general.
I fucking love a hand tattoo, so I can tell you some.
It's getting them to stick.
Okay.
That healed it okay, but it could have healed better.
Yep.
I don't.
What was what area?
The mouth.
Okay.
Yeah, the mouth, eyes stay pretty well. I tried to make it quite as minimalistic as possible, I guess.
Yep.
Just so I didn't want to put too much in it.
Yep.
You know,
Out of interest, how long did it take you?
2 hours.
The last hand I did took me 9.
Holy shit! Oh, so that's about it. Okay.
Yeah, when you did mine, we were done quite.
Yeah, yours is the second pass, yeah.
But yeah, when we did it, we were at convention with bit stop. But it was like, it was 6 hours.
Yeah, yours, you do have the hand size of a child, so it was a little bit smaller. But yeah, the last hand I did took me 9 hours, man. So there's a certain way to making a hand stick. Needle choice wise, smaller the needles the better. So any hand I approach, I use a 7 mag, and it's very, very rare that I go above that. It's thick skin, so you need heavy saturation first and foremost. I like the negative space, I will say that. Like, you've definitely thought about breathing space, like the center of the hand and whatnot. The only thing that I would say is, what was
The top of the nose, I did.
so you maybe could have done a bit more of a bridge.
Yeah.
You know, like the actual nose coming up for sure. Like, obviously where you brought the shading over the, like in between the eyes there, you definitely could have just kept the shading. Or sort of my hands in the way of it. But this kind of light section, you definitely could have left that join into this bit here.
Yeah.
That definitely would have given it a bit more of a bit more depth around that nose. Out of interest, what was here? Was there did they have an existing tattoo here?
Up top.
This little gap here.
No.
So
Filled that in.
yeah, so what I would have said to do is stretch that out further.
Cool.
So if let me, where's my phone? Lana, if I just send you an image, can you just chuck it up on here a sec for me? I'll show you. Yeah, I'll just show you a couple of hands a sec to give you an idea. Hold on. I've got a new phone and I don't quite know how to use it yet. I'm guessing the mags that you've used here are quite big.
They were 13.
13, yeah. So I wouldn't, like say, for me, never anything over a 7. And then, yeah, so bring the sizes down of the mags that you're using when you're approaching a hand. Because you'll get a much heavier saturation than that. Like I say, it's always going to come out darker, always. And the other thing I would say with it is to just literally, so where that knuckle is here, it's just to bring that nose to that point.
Okay.
So just shift it slightly to the left. Literally just slightly to the left. So then that, or the other thing that you could have done, if you do like it being, or if the client liked it being slightly over to the right, is to just fill this with black.
Yeah, okay.
So you've got that hair, you know, like coming through the corner of it. Because that light space on the other side almost looks like her face is extending out.
Yeah.
You know, so when I'm kind of looking at an area, whether it's a hand, or a leg or an arm, I don't want to see skin either side. I want to fill that area. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like all the way to the edge of it. So as if there's like a line going down the palm, the pad of the hand there, like an area like that's coming up here as well. So like when your hand's down, there's no skin kind of showing either side. So yeah, that's the only thing I would say, man. Is like hands are really hard to tattoo. I've done a lot of them. And it took me a while to realise that you definitely have to use smaller needles to make sure that it sticks. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you.
No worries, you're welcome. Whose is this? Ah, you're gonna make me do it to yours. What are you not happy with?
The placement, and I think it doesn't flow with the.
What about the placement don't you like?
Do you know what? I really struggle sometimes. I'm not used to doing so many female faces like I do. And I'm a little bit scared sometimes that it's gonna get distorted, but then I see your tattoos how they fill up all the property then.
All the space.
And I feel like this one is lacking that, so you touch that subject of looking for S shapes.
Yeah.
I think that will have helped. So I don't know if I need to add something on top.
Yeah.
I think it looks a little like a
I mean, your style is like that though.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like your style is like that. I think because you've got that mask on the right hand side of it, going any bigger than that to fill that space is, especially where the mask sits, is obviously directly near that the armpit, right? Like that's a hard place to make that fit. Technical ability wise, I don't need to tell you anything about that, and you know I don't. But the only thing that I would say is you have half of an S there without even realising it. Is you've already got the curve there. So you could have bought something behind that, which is exactly what you just said. You literally just answered your own question anyway. Is some kind of background behind it and curved it up. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, behind it. That's the only thing that I would say for that, man. Like at all. I think, again, if that, it's already starting to dip. I can see on that side, like where it's curving, obviously this side, sorry, curving round into there. So if you bring that any further to there, every time she does that, it's gonna fucking, do you know what I mean? Stretch her face out. But yeah, you definitely could do something in the background. I think with your, with your style, because it is so heavy on black and obviously line work and your stippling and everything, I think backgrounds would really help you. Like really, really help you. Yeah, is just creating, because of the way you're stippling and whatnot, if you were to put some kind of background into that to create depth, it's not like you could just, well, you could put like soft shading behind it to kind of give it that softened texture, but then it doesn't really match everything else. Yeah, you could definitely do something that was like this kind of shading that you've done in here, but some kind of texture behind it, or even if you've done like a circle, like a half circle, like as if there was a circle behind her head and then done some kind of shading coming down to reach that. Because at the moment, like predominantly where that is, a lot of the things match. Like the way that her neckline comes down here is pretty much where that tricep would start. Do you know what I mean? Like where the tricep is coming down here. So that's what I'm saying. You've already got half of it without even realising it. Do you know what I mean? Just from the, like, so compositionally, I don't think that's placed incorrectly at all. It's say if you go any bigger, you're going to lose all of this round there and that's going to be lost round there. I just think it probably could have needed something that just brought it up and round that little bit further and just up onto that. I mean, it just came round the side there. I don't really have anything else to be able to say about that. I think it's great, mate, to be fair. And the mask is really cool. When did you do that? I don't think I saw you do that. Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, I think backgrounds could be a real use to you, man. Even if you just took what you did at the bottom and flipped it and put it around the back of the head. Do you know what I mean? And done more of that kind of foliage that you've got at the bottom and kind of put something that was kind of going that way. Do you know what I mean? Back round the head. I definitely think that could have given it just a little bit more flow. But at the same time, your style is, I can see obviously she's got something below it as well. So if you had the whole area free, then I'm sure you would have done, like, as in the whole arm free, sorry, I'm sure you would have done something that didn't cut off, do you know what I mean, the way that it did at the bottom. So yeah, I definitely think just something around the top of the head, man, would have just given it that little bit more of a shape. But your style has that kind of very harsh finish to it anyway, and that's how it should be, do you know what I mean, really. But I think it's great, mate. I think it's really good. I knew you were going to do that. What can I say about that, Laurie? What are you not happy with?
I just wanted some honest feedback from you.
What is,
being obviously just a flat image, I kind of struggle to add anything behind it in terms of like backgrounds.
Yeah.
Obviously it is all quite like the same tones.
Yeah.
I wasn't too sure whether to make her skin a little darker in order to bring more of like a contrast to the whole piece.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the reference, all the tones are very, very similar.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so I tried to obviously apply it to skin in a way that I thought would work.
Yeah.
I tried to use less lines in areas, like every point of contact where the hair is to the body, there isn't a line, it's all just been stippled in.
Yeah. What do you mean? Mate, I told you what I thought outside. I think that's fucking well hard to tattoo like that. I think that's really good, Laurie. It's very good, isn't it? Like mate, your stippling is you. I know. I worked with you for years, mate. I know how long it takes you to do that stippling.
Me about 4, maybe even 5.
You use just the 3 lane?
Yeah, it's like 3. Yeah, it's like 3.
But what do you run? Because obviously Asian does the same thing. What do you run your machine on?
It varies. It's from about 4 or 5 to about 5.2.
Yeah.
I would say around that kind of.
One thing I will say, what you said about the background, I can see what you've started to do.
What the fader?
Yeah, I can see where you've kind of brought that edge. Do you know what I mean? To bring it round, but because of how you've made her skin look this tone, I actually quite like the way that you've brought these kind of leaves or whatever. It almost joins into that shape anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I don't really feel like you needed much more shading to go into that. Bring it, zoom out, Lana. The only thing I would say is that her arms are darker than her face.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing with the style that I'm trying to do, trying to get the same tone.
The whole way across, yeah. Yeah.
Quite difficult.
And your
Do I now make the face darker and the neck a bit darker to match the rest of the body? But I just thought it kind of works.
It does. But it's not. I'm not pointing it out as a flaw at all.
Even I understood that. You know, trying to get it all one time can be quite difficult.
100%, yeah.
But yeah, like with the background and the leaves and stuff, like I thought it might be quite nice to. If you look at either side of the background,
Yeah.
the furthest side and the other furthest side, the left and right, they're like the darkest.
Yeah.
Just to try and create that sort of like art, you know what I mean?
These areas, you mean?
Just like just the leaves, really.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think it works. I definitely think it works, man. I think you're definitely gonna like you're very hard pushed with that, like with the way that you've done the tone of the arms versus the tone of the face. If you then do the roughly anything similar tone wise in that background, it's just gonna look like a blur when it heals. So I think the way you've done that like really minimalistic background, but also added the leaves in, gives it the shape of what it actually needed without losing any tonal value in the foreground. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, because you've got darker hair, predominantly you're going to need a lighter tone in the background, but because the neck and the face are light, you can't put the same shading in the background as what's on the face, but you also can't put a tone that's close to the arms either. Do you know what I mean? And I think when...
I did struggle with the background a little bit, but I knew I had to find time for something in there.
I think it's really like I was saying earlier about tattoos that you can read from a distance. I think you pick the tones perfectly, if I'm honest with you. Like the way there's no stippling at all in that, versus very light in that, versus mid-tone there, darker there and lighter there. I don't really think there's many more tones you probably could get stippling wise in there, man, if I'm honest. Apart.
I used a layer of dark and then a layer of black.
Okay.
It's just a medium.
Yeah.
And then hair, obviously, triple black.
Yeah. I think it's great, mate. I think compositionally it fits the arm. Is it on an arm?
Yeah.
Yeah, like forearm. In a forearm. Yeah. Oh yeah, nice. Yeah, I think it fits perfectly, mate. And not only that as well, man, is that your stippling is so tight that in 5 years that'll probably look like smooth shading. Do you know? Yeah, 100%. Like especially on like the arms, like the way, like how tight those dots are together. It's nigh on going to blur together anyway, man. So, and I always do that weird thing where you like, I don't know if you guys can do it, but can you blur your eyes without actually? Yeah. That's how I look at any tattoo design. Like if I'm doing mine, is like to blur my eyes out, and you can kind of see the tones as they actually are, rather than obviously the actual stippling in there, man. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, mate, at all. I think that's. Yeah.
Fade out, or one strand kind of fades out a little bit.
Yeah.
I tried to create like a little bit here, but do you think I could have done that more to make it a little bit more dynamic?
I think you maybe could have done just one more row of leaves.
Yeah.
rather than that one being on its, oh, not the 1.5 being on the right, and then you've got 3 on the left, with those little ones just behind the head. If you were doing something as to where it's kind of, I'm guessing you've tried to go dark, medium, fade out, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think. I'm trying to do dark either side to frame it.
Yeah.
One's behind the medium to kind of bring it forward.
Yeah. I think, mate, if anything, I think you maybe could just done 1 or 2, like little, like where you've only got 2 there, maybe 1 there, just to fill it out. Do you know what I mean? From there, but I can already see that kind of like oval type shape. Do you know what I mean? That you're trying to get in the background there, man. And honestly, if you gave me 10 grand, I couldn't stipple that. There's no fucking way. I'd definitely get 1 darker dot in there somewhere that would really piss me off. So it's, yeah, I think that's really good, mate. You're welcome, mate. Bane. Who did that? Nice. Is there anything in particular on there that you're not 100% with?
Texture is really difficult to make any kind of contrast.
In texture and where?
In the mask itself.
Okay.
You don't want to say it, but zoom into the mask. It's all the same tone. Even when I feel like I've put different tones in there, it always feels really, really flat.
Have you seen it healed?
Yes.
Was it flat when it healed?
Not really, no.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I think this is that exact thing that I was talking about earlier. That I know that image. I know exactly what image that is, and that mask is dark versus the face. Do you know what I mean? Like the contrast on that piece is in the face. Second of all, the eyes are spot on. Like I will say that. Like you can definitely 100% recognise who that is immediately. The mask itself, I think it's that thing that I was saying earlier as to where you're saturating it to a point that everything starts to become the same tone because it's so detailed in that mask. And I think the detail is really nice as well, especially these areas here. Like that's really fucking good. Even the way you've put the little bloody lines in there, like like if that was me, I would be simplifying that. Do you know what I mean? Because of how dark, because of how much I bump up the contrast. Like to me, that mask would nigh on be black once I put my editing and stuff onto it. When you saw it healed, was there a bit of a moment as to where you were like, oh fucking hell, I didn't expect that?
Yeah.
So you had
it healed better than I thought.
There you go.
But while it's like that, I just think it looks really flat. I still think it could have been.
What if you were to reapproach that and redo that tattoo on that mask? What would you do differently, knowing you've seen it healed?
I feel like I'd do more like darker areas, definitely like darken it up, because I feel like in between the like tubing, especially on the top bit, I feel like the bit in between the tube should have been darker.
These areas, you mean? In here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's not art of depth in it.
I think there is. I don't think there's. I mean, if you were to just literally saturate them fully black in between, I understand what you're saying with that. The bottom of the tubes, like the way they're kind of coming out and kind of giving that effect as if they're bending, like the way they do on his mask, I think they're really nice. I think, go back up to the mask line. I think if you know 110% that that healed better than what you think it did, and you're a bit concerned about how it looks fresh, start realising that you're going for the heal more than what you are what it looks fresh. Because if I can look at that mask and hand on heart say, maybe a few different needle choices would have helped. Saturation wise and how smooth you've managed to get some of those really, I mean, there are quite tight areas in there. For example, what did you use, if you can remember, to do these little bits in here? Like that shading that comes, sorry, I can't even do it with my hands. This bit here. Yeah, like that shading that's kind of coming off down there. What was that with? Is that a liner?
No, I think it could have been a shader.
Round shader?
Yeah, I think it's probably a 5 round shader.
Okay, so do you, in your, let's say, arsenal of needles, Do you have a small mag?
I've got a 5.
You've got a 5 mag?
Yeah.
I would say either go to like a 7 or a 9, and those little bits, use the mag rather than using a round shader. Again, they look dotty, do you know what I mean? Almost like stippling, like the way that you've done it in there, but over time that's not going to look like that in the slightest. The mask itself, I really don't think is as flat as what you think it is. I will say that. Like I think, zoom out the whole thing, Lana, so you can just see the whole thing versus, no, yeah, that's it, like that. I think it has enough contrast versus how much negative. One thing I will say, just before I tell my mind, I like the way you've left that amount of negative space in that face. I can see the slight bit of shading that you've done obviously on the left-hand side, trying to give it that kind of contrast onto there, but it's 100% going to age well. You know what I mean? I don't see that kind of not aging well. But I think obviously on the day isn't something that you want to kind of tattoo for.
Yeah.
You know, like if you've hand on hearts in that tattoo healed and that mask. Yeah, if you don't mind, yeah, if you can see it healed, like absolutely. And this is like what I was saying. Oh, no, it doesn't matter. Yeah, like the redness at the bottom down there, you know it's going to heal smooth, like on the neck. You know, like it's one of those areas that are.
I think the only other thing was the mask as well.
Mm-hmm.
I did it facing that way because I thought like, oh, we've got one thing facing that way, I'll do something else.
One thing facing the opposite way.
After it's done and like looking back at it, I
You'd
don't like it.
You'd pop it the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like it's tucked behind the leg.
Yeah, yeah, 100% I'd agree with that. Like the left-hand side of it is obviously slightly moving round the bottom of the ankle. Even with like the way that the ears are facing, you would predominantly want them facing the opposite way. And the other thing I would say is that shading behind the mask. I honestly think that mask is very good. I'm unsure what you mean by not putting depth in. To see that healed. Now we're looking at it healed. What more would you do to it?
It just feels like it looks flat. But but then again, with the like contrast, like the amount of contrast that you put in your pieces, whether it's more like a saturation thing, maybe.
It's hard because
where like the light bit behind the mask on this side.
These.
The tube on the other side. Yeah, that bit on the other side.
Yep.
Like should that have been darker because there's something in front of it, but then if I do that, is that making it muddy because there's too many tones, like trying to simplify it? But
I see what you're saying. Like I mean, do you mean that where this is here, there should be some kind of shadow here? Yeah. Yeah. I do agree with what you're saying there. You definitely could have. I mean, you've done a little bit of shading here. I mean, on that left-hand side of that little bit coming out, so you definitely probably could have put a little bit more of a shadow onto there. But at the same time, those two light sections that kind of come off the edge of it kind of almost direct the shape of the mask, you know, because it is a predominantly black mask that he wears. Like it's not something that, and especially with the image that you've picked as well. Zoom out fully, Lana, so we can see that mask at the bottom. Yeah, so that's this here. I definitely say that where these are so light, you maybe could have done a little bit. That's really hard to do. Where you've done that like black bit coming around here, I would have just done that whole thing at the same time.
yeah.
So because it's 100%. Yeah. So if you've got a tone that's like between like, that's why I have that black and extra dark mixed together. So I know that it's going to almost heal black, but it will still have that grey tone to it at the same time as well. So. I don't know what inks do you use?
The dynamic.
Okay, a drop set or the grey wash?
The grey wash.
Okay, so whatever your darkest grey wash is, mix half of that with half of your dynamic. So anything, so like this bit of black, like the solid black or like shady black, should we say, that you've done here, fade off of that with that extra dark and black. that will give you that tone that's in between that grey and obviously that darkest section into there. And the only other thing that I would say is how close this shading is to this. You do have that lighter section that you've got into here, but if you do something like that where you've got that really dark section onto here, you need to almost like, I was about to say Aaron here, but he's gone. You need to have a lot more white into here. So it brings that kind of bit that's forward, like really, really into focus. I can see that he's got, did he have quite tan skin? Yeah, I can see that on my life, yeah. Ah, sweet, yeah, lovely. Exactly what you want just before tattoo day, yeah. But I think for you, like looking at that tattoo, it's more tweaks than it is anything else. You know, like it's just learning about what to bring forward and what not. Like even the way you've done like the white onto here, instead of using it as dots, there's been times where like with the second passes, this is why I say that second passes are so important with tattoos. You could, like if you were to come back into that now, you know exactly what you'd bring forward and what exactly you'd put behind because you can see it healed. So I think that if it was me, like every time I've done something like this, like these pipes, or whether it's something biomechanical or Geiger related or whatever, I literally whip white over the top of them. So you can still see the texture underneath of it and still see those lines coming through, but you've got a blend of white that goes into the grey over the top, and then it creates like a real like milky, smoothie grey underneath it. And there's, what's that? Actual white. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, so like these bits where they're like super forward, I would go back in and put white. It's hard because of his skin tone, right? Like you don't want it to go cream, obviously. These areas, these little kind of detailed bits that you've got coming up into here, same thing, I'm putting white in there all day long. If you're not going to put that shadow onto there, instead of just having the white in this corner, I'm whiting that. These edges that you've kind of got onto here, this is lovely, by the way, like the way those bits have healed there. But even when you've just got those little highlights that are kind of coming off of here, I would get white and blend it into that grey rather than just having a dot on the edge. That will just bring all of the features, because he's predominantly mask, right? Like it's just eyes, bald head, and a really cool mask. Like it's, that's what I would do with it. The eyes have healed amazing. I will say that, like the eyes are really good. But that mask at the bottom, again, if you try and like blur your eyes to it, it just gets a little bit lost. But there are ways that you can kind of, bring that back, is by putting that white in. You know, so like these sections as to where you've left the skin, and I understand why you have because of his skin tone, but if you put white into that and whip that white up into this lighter tone that you've got there, it's immediately going to make the top of that mask look more like viewable from a distance. Everybody can see what that mask is when they get up close. I mean, it's very rare that no one's ever seen Batman before, do you know what I mean? But even on the edges of the ears, same thing, rather than it being a line, go back in with a mag and just whip out a little bit, so you've got that more of a like triangle shape, do you know what I mean, on the mask itself. But everything else, you could tell straight away, like even on that fresh tattoo, the shading that you've done or did on the fresh bit down here, and how you've left this bit negative, and the shading, that's exactly what I was saying earlier with the contrast. Like if you've got light, you put in dark, you know, like if you've got dark, you put in light. You can see you understand that straight away, but I just think maybe tweaking a few things for you, getting that extra tone into your set will really help you. And after you've getting something back healed, go back into it and see what bits need to just come forward to make everything else look further back, you know. And every time I've done that on pieces like this, it's always just the most minimalistic. You know, like when you do a portrait and you put a dot in an eye and you're like, that was it. It's like one of those moments, just where like it makes it look 1,000 times better, just bringing those little things forward. But I do understand, I can see from how tan these legs are that it's always going to be a struggle getting white into there. So, but as a tattoo, I think that's really, really nice. Like really, really nice. You want me to critique that? Yeah? Well, you tell me what you don't like, because we went through that design. I was.
It feels flat.
Okay.
That's the thing.
Okay.
It's the first time that we have to approach like.
It's your first time, yeah.
And photos.
Yeah.
Like that amount.
Yeah. So to give you all an idea, Angela was the apprentice at the studio that I currently work at, and she's very recently passed. So, yeah. And she decided to do a hole outside of her leg.
But it wasn't supposed to be that deep.
No.
But I see that every day. Like it's still there, we still have to finish that. We're gonna take the finish.
Mm-hmm.
It feels flat, like the gradient in between the lighter and the darker colors.
What, show me what bits you mean exactly. What are we talking about? Are we talking about
Between the purple, the red.
this bit?
Yes.
Okay. I honestly think that's probably more colour choice in regards to what colours you're picking out of those colours that that are readily available to you. I think that I'm just going to put that there before I drop that on the projector. I think because you're not quite 100% used to blending things a little bit further in, and we went through all this, right? Like when we done the design, but like the way you've got that purple into that red, into that kind of yellowy. Was that the fusion one you used? That well famous. So for me. So you need some kind of light source running down the center of it. So if it was me, I'd be whipping that color, like not all the way down, but slightly into here. So you've got some kind of you need some kind of like cylindrical highlight, do you know what I mean? To make sure that it doesn't look like it's just flat. Obviously the style that you're trying to, are you trying to go more neo on this, or are you trying to go more traditional, more neo-traditional? Yeah, okay. So it's also missing black. You know, like you're going to find that a lot of those colours, unless you've got like a real range of colours accessible to you, like for even if this just had, like this little section here, even if this just had a little bit of black whipping off of here, you're going to get that immediate look that they're overlapping each other. It's very hard to do that when you haven't got like 6 reds. And that starts leading into more like colour realism than something being neo-traditional, right? Like neo-traditional is a couple of colours that are blended impeccably well with an outline and black. It's almost like a graffiti style, you know, like the way you're approaching it. So when I'm back in next year, we'll go for it properly as well. But even like here. I mean, just a little bit of something darker into here is going to give it the effect that it's underneath this. Same here, like you've got this tone here is very close to this tone here of what you've got. So you need some kind of highlight, do you know what I mean, that's coming down here. Same thing here, whip that down there. That's probably your best bit.
That's the last.
There, well, that says a lot then, doesn't it? But yeah, I would say that like that blend that we've got going from here to here is probably your nicest blend that I can see on there, obviously without seeing it in person. And even how you've kind of done these bits coming around here, same with that, like that can come up a little bit further, do you know what I mean, into here. Again, when you're working with colour, it's exactly the same concept as what I was saying earlier in regards to you need to pick those points that are coming forward and things that are sitting back. But when you're looking at it like that at the moment, these, zoom out, Lana, these highlights don't make sense. Like I mean you haven't done this bit yet, so I don't want to speak too soon, but to me these highlights don't make sense. There is no highlight running down here. Your lightest tone in here is that, you know, which is on the other side of it rather than being in the center of it. So you need something again that's going to come down in this section into here. This is a bit different because I'm guessing that's the underside of the tentacle, right? Yeah, I understand that. But you can blatantly see the difference, in my opinion, between that, and this. Like from a distance, that blend, like the way you've got that little highlight coming into here, this is darker than what you've got into here. In theory, I don't know, I mean the highlight works because of what's there, but this is what I was saying to you with your lighting before when you were talking about doing the design, is that you need to pick one source of light and stick with it throughout that whole thing. Because at the moment you've got your light source coming from here, here, then here, then here. There's not all from one direction, you know? Whereas if you were to have your light source, if your light source was coming from this way, for example, then this wouldn't be purple. This would be this colour and the purple would be the other way. So at the moment you've got your light source coming from that way, from there, and from this way from here, and from that way from there, which then really confuses you in regards to how to make this look like it's doing this, you know, because the way you'd get your light source to come through from here would be to add these kind of blends. I'm guessing you're going with the same colours of what's to go into there, but at the moment you've got, what is that, 4? 5 blended. So to get 5 blended into here is pretty difficult. Do you know what I mean? So there's ways of simplifying it so you can kind of use the main tones that you've got that kind of give it that dark to light, and then just a little highlight on the edge of each of these. I don't think it's something that you can not zoom out all the way, Lana. I don't think it's something that you can't bring back. The great thing about colour, and I learnt this from doing that blue and green back piece on Joe, is that you can add and add and add and add and add. Do you know what I mean, in regards to highlights? Like, there's always a way of being able to bring a highlight into what you're actually doing on top of that. I just think that you need to pick, before you go any further onto that face, pick your light source. Like 100% pick your light source. Because these tones that you've done here, these darker tones, if you were to make that look like that's over the top of that, you need some kind of shadow, do you know what I mean, underneath it, which means you're going to have to do a dark tone next to a dark tone rather than a dark tone next to a light tone. And that's that contrast that I was saying about earlier. So, but at the same time, you definitely, sweet. you definitely can put more of that lighter yellow, do you know what I mean, in there to kind of create that kind of curvature on each of the sections. What's going on? Yeah, I'll go through it with you. We'll sit down with you before when Gabby's in next. I'll sit down with you and we'll go through absolutely everything. Especially these areas that you've got in here. This area here needs something.
Yeah, that's why it was like something is missing.
Yeah, it's just getting lost. It's literally just getting lost in between it. So, and at the moment as well, if you put the purple, it's confusing, right? Because you've put the purple on the outside. That's the top side of the tentacle, and this is the bottom side. So, in theory, there should be purple on here. Do you know what I mean? Because you've got that red going into the orange, where you've got red going into orange into there, but you haven't got purple there. And you haven't got that lighter tone on this edge. So you need to add purple into there, lighter tones on there. It's literally just picking those 5 colours you've got, and yeah, and just almost flipping them in some areas to make sure that it gives you that depth. Yeah, it's just a case of just adding a couple of tones over the top. But like the ones that you have got that do feel a little bit lost, luckily they're the darker tones, so you can always put that purple over that red. And even the way that you've done just like this little highlight here, you could even do something on the edge of that. Do you know what I mean? That just lifts it out from everything that's on there. But yeah, let's talk about it before you go. When's your next session with Gabby? Okay, well yeah, we'll sort that out. We'll sort that out for you there, for sure. Nice. So, what don't you like about it? Or what do you like about it?
I wanted some feedback and also just, so I kind of stopped using white maybe 2 years ago.
Yep. I understand why.
And my last couple of pieces, I've included it again,
Mm-hmm.
and it's looked well, but I felt like in this one, if I started putting white into that, I probably would have just had to keep going, and I thought,
Yeah.
well, would it look, is it a better look without it, or if
Do you mean you'd have to, if you put it in one bit, you'd have to put it in everywhere?
I thought a piece a couple of years ago, and him doesn't have again whether to write it, whether to win it, but in the design, there was one section where you could tell there was a light source just smashing off it compared to the rest of it.
Yeah.
But when I put it in, it just felt like my eyes was drawn to that one point and I had to.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think the way you shaded it on that, personally, I wouldn't put white in there. No, absolutely not. Have you got, because it's quite, yours is like the same as how mine comes up on that screen. Have you got it on your iPad that isn't as dark as what that image is on there?
The bottom it's easy, then the top it's great.
Yeah, nice.
Hasn't he got a nice voice?
Huh? Oh yeah, I can see it much better there. Yeah. If you were to put white in that, where would you put it?
Wherever.
Where the light source is hitting?
Maybe top of the year, somewhere wherever is the most forward point. Maybe like the more.
You mean like, so you'd put something like here,
Somewhere around there, somewhere you.
and then somewhere, zoom out long? You mean on here?
Like the top of the year.
Yeah.
Where it's like.
Honestly, I think with the way that you've shaded it and the light, I think white is, yeah, bro. That's right. I think the way you've kind of lit that horse head up, it's almost pointless putting white just in those two places.
I don't know if some artists put a lot of weight in it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like you might be doing that.
Yeah. It's because of how much shading you've kind of put on this on the underside of it, you know, like the underside of its chin and whatnot, and kind of coming around its cheekbone. If this was lighter, and then I would say you could get away with putting white in some areas to make things light up a little bit more. But you've picked such a specific light source, like on both of those images, and if you go down to the face as well, Lana, that to me, zoom out, it already looks like it has white in it, you know, because of the way you've lit the face up. Just zoom out all the way, Lana. The only thing that I would say is the lighting is different on both images. So you've got one facing one way and one facing the other way. I think if you're doing like a large composition like that, it's always beneficial to have them facing both like the same light source. I don't think funnily enough, I don't think it looks bad. Normally I would say it's blatantly obvious that they're both facing. I'm just seeing it just from how I'd approach that design. I can see that obviously there's a bit of a darker section on the shin, right? Oh, there you go then. Yeah, okay, that makes entire sense. But then you certainly wouldn't be able to put the light source on the other side because you've got a cover up in there. So I understand why you've done that.
The other thing is, well, see like there's a head shape type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So see at the bottom.
Mm-hmm. These bits.
Yeah, and just kind of just sort of below his face that area.
Yeah.
I felt like I held back from putting something extra in there, so I didn't want to overpay the other pieces.
Yeah.
But then after we're done, it was like, I just filled that whole bottom of his.
Is there?
Today with just his neck and sort of.
Yeah.
Top of the head.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. What were these sections? Are these just kind of shapes and stuff that you predominantly put in your pieces?
So on the outside of the leg, I done half the side. So
Oh, like wave, they're like waves coming through. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, which looks nice, man. Like they actually fit quite nice over that darker section that you've got underneath the side of that horse. You could have, I mean, it depends how far it goes down, obviously on the outside there, but were these the waves?
So at the bottom, there was the sand at the top, and then the dog is straight at the bottom.
So these are these the edge of some of the waves you've got here?
Yeah, that's the edge.
Yeah, I mean, you maybe you could have, like the way you've got the balance of these two kind of coming, or the way they're kind of coming round, do you know what I mean, onto the inside there, you maybe could have added a couple bit at the bottom. I do understand what you're saying there for like the balance of it. But like technical ability wise, man, you can blatantly see you know how to do smooth shading. Like I don't think that's something to focus on at all. Like the way you've kind of saturated that black over the cover up, it definitely works. I wouldn't, if you hadn't told me that was a cover up, I would have just said that you just done the lighting on the wrong side. Do you know what I mean? So for me, that's how a cover up should be. But yeah, I get what you're saying in regards to does it need white. I think if you stood where the camera is back there, you can still see that's a horse head just from the way that it's lit up, you know, which is perfect really in regards to black and grey. Like if you had something that, if the way you lit that, both of those up if you lit them up completely different, then I would say, yeah, by all means, you can add a dot of white here and there. But the way the light source is so specific, like on these certain areas, and especially on the nose, I genuinely don't think that you'd see the difference. I'm guessing that guy's got quite pale skin as well, right? Pale skin. Yeah, you can see it. It's the same. It's the same as what I've done on Aaron. Like there's areas that I did white on him that are so close to his skin tone now anyway that it was nigh on pointless us doing it. When you do it fresh and the first year after, it looks great. But once it's really settled into the skin, if they've got that really, really pale skin, there's just no point. Yeah, yeah. Or they run the risk of it going cream if they ever go on holiday, you know. So I think that's a great tattoo, man. Like I think you know that even if he did fucking go to Turkey for the next 6 months and he got a tan on it, you know once that tan's gone, it's still gonna look good. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, the only thing I would say is I think you've almost answered your own question by asking it in the first place, by adding those waves or something at that bottom section, because it does feel like there's a lot of space between here and here versus what, like the space that you've got here with something here, space you've got here with something here, and obviously the bits at the top as well. But at least the saving grace is at least you do have that neckline kind of joining into the chest. If that was it, like if the cover up was further and this was just dark, then it's going to look really out of balance, you know. But yeah, because you've got that little light source at the bottom, man, I think it's balanced, especially with it being a cover up as well, you know. So yeah, I think it's a really good tattoo, and the way you've lit it up as well. Like, is that how you approach all of your lighting in your pieces? Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. So you're bumping the contrast right up to be able. Yeah. That's exactly what I do, man. So it's readable. Yeah. 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 Yeah, for sure. Is there a big difference between your 80 and your black when it's healed?
Oh, when it's healed, yeah, you notice it when it's healed.
Okay. Like when it's fresh, it looks. Yeah. Yeah, I understand that entirely.
I think this was when we first done this.
Mhm.
The drop system was very low.
Yeah.
I love how it comes out when it was fresh.
Yeah.
He came back, because he came in quite quickly, he did his whole leg on.
Yeah.
And that first piece is so much later, so I instantly got it with it. So
Yeah.
we've done the heck of when I stopped him. It was only about a month or two ago, so he's gonna come back soon.
To darken the other one.
Session 3, just to darken
100%. That's exactly what I was saying earlier with Aaron, man. Is there's things, and it's like what I was saying this morning. It's those moments that click. You know, you see that thing in that tattoo, and you're like, oh, like now I know how to approach that into that one, and then you learn to do that with everything moving forward. You know, it's those moments that you really need to kind of focus on. Like I say, if that cover up wasn't there, then the only thing that I would say would be to flip that face, which I'm sure you know anyway. Do you know what I mean? To flip the face. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, as it is, even though the points of light are in different directions, even when you blur your eyes to it, you can still read what it is, which to me just tells me it has enough contrast on it that it doesn't matter that it's the opposite way. And that's the same to anyone as well. Like if you're approaching something that has a cover up in it, sometimes the rules have to kind of go out of the window slightly, do you know what I mean, in regards to making it look like, but that's a perfect example of balancing something with light sources to make sure that even though it isn't as it should be, it still looks good as an overall composition, you know. So yeah, I think you smashed that, mate, to be honest with you. No worries, man, no worries. Is that everything? Lana's done a WhatsApp group. So yeah, that's everything for today. I am fully aware of how tired you all must be with me just talking to you for the last 7 hours. I could talk about tattooing for ages, but yeah, if there is anything tonight that you go away and kind of think specifically, or you want to kind of send me tonight just so you don't really forget, or anything else when you come in tomorrow, make sure you write them down and we can go through everything specifically tomorrow and more individually, because I'm literally just going to be tattooing tomorrow, so I'm going to have a much more time to be able to sit there and talk to you all personally one-to-one. So, but yeah, thank you all again for coming. I hope you've learned some little bits in there, and let's eat some more chicken because I'm starving. But thank you all.